Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
We finally did it. We broke Maggie Gray. Welcome to the Maggie and Perloff show. Our girl was so stunned by Josh Allen winning the MVP last night. Something happened. She went into shock. Unfortunately, she's feeling a little under the weather. Will not be joining us today, but it's an unusual show. EJ Stewart will be sliding over into the big chair. And we taped a lot of interviews yesterday, full disclosure, because we're at Radio Row, Super Bowl here in New Orleans. Talked to all sorts of Hall of Famers, all pros. It's going to be a lot of fun. But this is kind of sad because Maggie is not here to brag about Josh Allen winning the MVP. EJ, is this some sort of Buffalo karma going on?
I mean, this is so Buffalo Bills. Like, right? Yeah. Who did we have on the air that were like, that's the most Buffalo Bills thing ever if they would have lost to, Jaden Daniels in the Super Bowl? This is also the most Buffalo Bills ever. One of their biggest super fans. Yeah. The best player wins the MVP, and she can't be here to do her show.
I mean, Maggie is known as a Bills fan. Yes. Everybody is coming up to her in New Orleans. Fans, other media members are saying, I'm sorry about what happened. Like, she lost a family member, and she can't celebrate this. But I got to tell you.
Yeah.
I think there's something a little sad about Josh Allen winning this MVP.
Why?
I know, because obviously he's going to be defined as an MVP who can't win the Super Bowl. And I've always had this take, and not a lot of people agree with me. The MVP should be voted on after the playoffs. What are the reasons for not? I don't understand any of the reasons for voting on the regular season. It's not called the regular season NFL MVP or any other sport. It's called the MVP. And when you look back on history, they don't distinguish between regular season and playoff. So people are going to look back at 2024 and say, oh, Josh Allen was the MVP. He must have dominated the season. But the reality is he did not dominate the season because he is not here. The MVP, if they could vote at the end of the season, will be Saquon Barkley. So they should have just waited. They should have waited.
Okay.
This is Saquon's year, and this happens too often in sports. That's why you get Russell Westbrook and James Harden winning in the NBA. That's why you get guys winning, not as much in the NFL, but you get Aaron Rodgers winning MVPs in years where he was bad in the playoffs. Right. And it doesn't tell the real story of the season. So what are the reasons that you have to vote after Week 18, EJ? I don't get them.
I think it's silly to do a postseason award ceremony because at the end of the day, wouldn't you're just going to be giving it to whoever won the Super Bowl, and that to me actually does not tell the story of the season. It tells the story of the playoffs. It tells the story of who won at the end, but it does not tell the story of the season to be like, oh, okay, Nick Foles, like you didn't play much this year, but you know what? You dominated the postseason. You're the MVP. Like
they're not going to give it to Nick Foles.
Who will they give it to then? They're going to give it to somebody that clearly was, if not going to be a player who was the caliber of whoever the MVP player was. I disagree. I feel like in many ways the regular season awards actually do give us context of how great players were for a totality of a season. Like, I think that is important because to me, like, yes, we know Aaron Rodgers has however many MVPs he has, but if he didn't have those, we wouldn't be talking about him saying, oh, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, one of the greatest throwers of the football, the most talented, blah, blah, blah. We only can contextualize that by saying this guy dominated multiple regular seasons, and therefore he was the MVP. Yes, he may not have the Super Bowl to back it up, but trust me, Aaron Rodgers, Charles Barkley, whoever these guys were, they were bad dudes. And I think that's important for the context of history to give these guys these awards and give them that recognition.
It's like a participation trophy.
It's Charles Barkley.
Oh, it so is. Karl Malone, Charles Barkley. It's like, oh, you know what? You couldn't get the title, but we're going to give you this MVP. So Jordan should have won all those MVPs. LeBron should have won a bunch of MVPs.
Okay.
There were some ridiculous MVPs throughout NBA. I keep thinking about NBA because it's so funny. NFL MVP was not something that we all talked about until more recently.
Right.
But this was a really interesting one because it was one of the closest votes ever.
Yep.
Lamar Jackson they didn't give it to him. By the way, if you're doing regular season MVP, Lamar Jackson was more valuable than Josh Allen. Josh Allen was so valuable that they decided to cut his passes down by 20% this year. The Bills were like, well, let's not pass the ball. Let's run it as much as humanly possible. Guy didn't even get to 4,000 yards. He was, of course, I have no problem with Josh Allen. I mean, he was great.
Sounds like it.
No, but I would have had no problem with Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen.
Okay.
But them winning the MVP does not tell the story of the 2024 season.
So what if the Eagles go and they lose in this Super Bowl?
I'm still
who's
fine.
the MVP?
Saquon.
But no, that you can't do that, because then if Saquon goes and loses the Super Bowl, then you can say, well, no, he didn't dominate.
But he got
postseason.
farther than those guys.
By one game, by beating Jaden Daniels and who they beat the Rams. Come on, that's totally different. That's totally different.
Now you're judging his competition.
Absolutely. Why not? We do that with every postseason run, right? When we're comparing the context of history. So Saquon Barkley, I know that's your guy, and I'm a Saquon guy too. I love Saquon Barkley as well. I'm not a salty Giants fan like Manny. Sorry about that. But at the same time, if he loses the Super Bowl, then this theory goes out the way. We're gonna give Patrick Mahomes the MVP. He shouldn't be in the top 8-9 guys of MVP guys this year. They won a lot of games, but they did it mostly on defense, and they were basically, like you keep saying, they were basically chilling most of the regular season. It was not a Patrick Mahomes season. That would be ridiculous if we did a whole season where the Chiefs' offense was a main storyline about how mid they were, but because Patrick Mahomes had 3 good games, we would give him the MVP. It wouldn't make sense. And if we give it to Barkley, then we're still giving it to a loser.
Well,
so I don't think there's any way you can slice this.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Was this a disappointing season or a rewarding season for Josh Allen?
I don't think it was disappointing because, I mean, this is going to sound like a Bills hater. This is how the Bills season has ended for 8 years in a row, whatever it's been. So I don't think it was that disappointing. To be honest, I look at Josh Allen now. I would have voted for him MVP because to me he did a lot more with less than Lamar Jackson. To me, I wouldn't look at that disappointment because I'd say, look, you lost Stephon Diggs and you came into the season. I thought the Bills may miss the playoffs, and I wasn't alone in thinking that. And you took your team to the AFC Championship game, and you kind of got hosed, and you probably should have won if it wasn't some bad refs calls. I would look at it and say, I wouldn't say his season was a disappointment. I'd say they fell short. It sucks, but, the Chiefs are going to chief, right?
So Josh Allen last season had 4,300 passing yards. This year had 37, 31, 28 touchdowns, 6 picks. The Bills changed their style of play. They said, we're not going to win if we have Josh Allen throwing it all over the yard. So we're going to be a little more conservative, help our defense a little bit. And it worked. And by the way, it's exactly what the Chiefs did. Mm-hmm. The Eagles do the exact same thing. Lamar Jackson, his numbers, this is the best season he's had. Better than his first MVP season, which was fantastic. He's had almost a perfect season. So I think everyone expected Lamar Jackson to win it because he was first team All-Pro. But either way, it just feels empty and hollow to me. We had this debate last week. Cam Newton said that he'd rather have his MVP than a championship ring. And I thought that was so ridiculous because football is the ultimate team sport. How do you win in this sport? You win as a team. So how can you possibly say an individual award matters when everybody is fighting and clawing to win the Lombardi? I feel like it's anti-team to really celebrate this MVP award when your team is not in the Super Bowl.
But let me ask you a question. Do you feel like Cam Newton was the best player in the NFL that year?
Yes.
Do you feel like then it would make – do you think that season, if that's the case, then if he doesn't have that MVP award because he lost to the Broncos and they couldn't block for him, that means that season he had – goes into the dustbin of history.
No, they still would.
There's no way we would be talking about how great Cam Newton was that year. We would lose all context because we would go years down the road. We would forget. We always forget the loser of the Super Bowl. So we lose all that context about how the season actually went. He was the best player in the NFL,
and he would have won the MVP that year. I'm not saying it has to be the Super Bowl winner. I'm just saying vote at the end of the playoffs and make a much more informed decision. Why not have more information when you're debating this? Why is it a regular season award? It's an MVP. They never say regular season MVP.
Well,
it never comes up. Why do you call it that then?
Well, but they are regular season awards. We all know that though. Like that's the rules. That's how we do this. And I'll say this. I do feel like there is something to me about giving away postseason awards. Like I think that they're two different seasons. Like players literally say in all sports, there's one season and then there's a second season. Basically, everything goes 0-0, and it's a whole different ball game by the time you get to the postseason. I think we're all smart enough to realize that when we're giving out regular season awards. So to me, I think you could say Brady may not have as many MVPs as he should, but he has a zillion Super Bowl MVPs. I was like, that tells me a lot. Like if he just threw in MVP awards in seasons where maybe other guys were better, we may really feel like, I know I make the joke that Tom Brady and Pat Mahomes played against farmers and plumbers. I do that with Mahomes a lot. We'd really think they played against farmers and plumbers if we decided that we're going to just give the award away to the guy who won in postseason without any context of whether or not maybe they won because of their defense. Maybe they won because they played a bad game, but they found a way to survive. Like, I just think it's too short of a window of a season. You play 17 games or 16 games, and then must decide the MVP on 2 or 3 games. I don't understand that.
Tom Brady played farmers and plumbers. He played
I'd say that more about Mahomes.
3 years ago. Okay. There was a lot of news came out yesterday. Also, not a surprise to us, Eli Manning did not make the Hall of Fame. We had Peter King on the show earlier this week. He basically told us it's not happening.
He shot from the logo on that.
Yeah.
We were stunned when he said that.
I was surprised, but now I'm not surprised because there's an undercurrent here in New Orleans. I don't know if you feel it. A lot of people are talking about it. It's just the worst week ever for the New York Football Giants and Manny. It's amazing to see Saquon just walking around and Eli doesn't get in. I mean, they had a bad season. You didn't think they could take more L's, but they found a way. So I've really enjoyed that.
This is workplace harassment. I'm filing right now with
yeah, see, Maggie's not here today, so we're not going to be nice to you, Manny. You don't have an advocate on this side of the glass. No, you're in trouble. But, Eli, we're going to talk about that a lot today. We have a lot of incredible guests. We have All-Pros. We have Hall of Famers. We have people weighing in on the game. I mean, let's not lose sight. Yeah. There's a big game, and I got to tell you, there is a wave of momentum in this city. And I don't know if it's because we're staying in the Eagles team hotel. There are more people who are coming up and saying, I am picking the Eagles, more experts. It is. I mean, that means nothing, by the way, because I think a lot of people pick the Bills over the Chiefs. But there are a lot of people who say the Eagles are a more talented team, that this could be their time. That means, we've done this to the Chiefs before. Yep. I think I'm starting to join that group that hates the Chiefs.
Oh, here we go. Finally.
Yeah. Well, I know.
One of us.
Because it's annoying that the Eagles are more talented on paper and probably going to lose a close game. That's the power of the Kansas City Chiefs. And, of course, eventually Patrick Mahomes will be a first ballot Hall of Famer, unlike Eli Manning. All right, we got a lot to get to today. You can join us. Give us a call, 855-212-4227. Are you cool with Josh Allen winning the MVP, even though he was disappointing in the playoffs? And if you want to dunk on Manny for Eli not getting in, are you cool with Eli Manning not getting in? I'm still surprised because some of the names that did get in are not quite as famous as Eli Manning. Of course, you can hear us on Sirius Channel 375, the Odyssey app. Watch us. EJ, looking pretty good. We had a late night. We were at a concert. Yeah. We were trying to watch Chris Stapleton. That is a long story. Yeah. That we'll share later. But you can see it on the Infinity Sports YouTube and Twitch. A lot to get to today. And next, we're going to talk to a player from a team who was even more – no, thanks, Manny. Who's even more hated than the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not joking. All right, so that's coming up next. A lot of interviews. Let's go. All right, just because we have so much going on, Manny, that does not mean that Maggie and I have not spent all week talking about Prize Picks. Maggie's obsessed. I'm obsessed. And one of the great things is it's a great way to enjoy the game on Sunday. Don't miss out on the final football game of the season with Prize Picks, the best place to cash in on the big game. The app is so simple to use. Pick 2 or more players across any sport. Pick more or less on their projection, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. I love it on Super Bowl Sunday when they have that college game before. You can pick those players. It's so much fun. Join Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Available to play in more than 40 states, including California and Texas. You got to join now. Prize Picks is giving away a free pick for the big game where a quarterback will only need to throw 1 yard to win. 1 yard. I think even Jalen Hurts can get that. All you have to do is download the Prize Picks app today and use code MMP to get a $50 bonus in promo funds instantly when you play $5. That's code MMP on Prize Picks to get a $50 bonus and promo funds instantly when you play $5. Win or lose, you'll get $50 in bonus credits for just playing. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Mand P. You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff show, live from Radio Row at the Super Bowl. Maggie is up all night celebrating the Josh Allen MVP on Bourbon Street. EJ's filling in, but it's again quite an unusual show. The Friday before the Super Bowl, you get the opportunity to talk to incredible people here live from New Orleans. It's great. We started out this with a guy who knows all about dynasties, three-time champion, Devin McCourty, former New England Patriot. All right, let's get started. Devin, based on your experience, what do you want to tell people about this game before it kicks off?
Well, I think the biggest thing is we got to talk about the chance to three-peat. And, for me, I had a chance to go back-to-back, and we lost. But I didn't three-peat, but I went to 3 straight Super Bowls, and that feeling of every time trying to reset after a long season and get back there. And the amount of pressure that is on you, not to just win a Super Bowl, but like this history. And I know these guys have talked about we just focus on winning just this game, but you feel it. Like when we went back-to-back in Super Bowl 52 and we were playing the Eagles, you felt how special that would be to be a back-to-back Super Bowl champ, and they did that. But as soon as you win back-to-back, everything now turns into can we three-peat. So the pressure of that, and then now this team going back and playing a team that they lost to a couple years ago in the Super Bowl with Philadelphia, it just has it's a perfect kind of matchup of a team chasing history and this team that just wants to get revenge.
Yeah, right.
Do you think the idea of three-peating is going to get in the Chiefs' head? Say it's 2 minutes left. Will Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce feel the history?
No. Those guys.
They won't at all, will they? I'm an Eagles fan, and I need some.
You're trying to psych yourself
You're
out.
grasping, you're coping.
Yeah.
Those guys are pros. They've been there before. They get it. Like, yeah, we want to do it. They understand the history, and they're going to say they don't. But if they win that game Sunday night, they will be right away. 3 fingers up. Like, it will be. They know what they're chasing, but when they get in those big moments, they just know how to deliver, and they're better than everybody. They're so good that everybody thinks the refs are cheating for them. That's how good they are.
Yep.
Well, we thought that about you guys, Devin. I mean, this is what happens with a dynasty, and people are going to find ways to poke at it and try to tear you down and say, oh, we have fatigue and Patriots fatigue and all of that, but you guys always handled it. There are going to be people out there, and it might make some Patriots players mad, but there are going to be people out there who, if Mahomes three-peats, they will say he's the greatest quarterback of all time, more than your guy Tom Brady. Can you understand their argument, considering how hard it is to do the three-peat?
I can't. This guy
is Chris Sims.
Well, he's so strong, man. Sims, y'all buttoned up. I like
That's
it.
a Jersey to Jersey connection.
We are.
Yep.
We go at each other every Sunday. I always disagree. But no. Listen, this guy's been a starter for 7 years. He's going to his 5th Super Bowl and possibly winning his 4th. But there's also an argument of the reason he's not 5 for 5 is because of the guy he's chasing.
Yeah.
And I would fully understand people saying, hey, this is my GOAT. Like, this is Patrick Mahomes. I think he is the greatest of all time. If you come down to me, I'm still going with 12. My guy, Tom. And, again, I'll never lie. I'm fully biased of what I got to watch for 10 years and what he was able to do year in and year out. But I get it. Patrick Mahomes has been in the league 8 years, and he didn't play that first year. And it just seems like if he's on the field, they have as good of a chance of anybody else to make the Super Bowl. And it's ridiculous. And it's still early. Like, he still can have another 10-plus years of doing this. So to think about maybe where he could be at is unbelievable.
What about the Super Bowl that Mahomes lost to Brady? I'm kind of hoping, I'm just going to tell you, that the Eagles do the same thing. What happened?
You're hoping that's the game plan.
What happened there? Is there any chance that the Eagles' D-line can disrupt the game like the Bucs did that year?
Listen, the Eagles have a better football team. If we say, hey, this roster, that roster, who you choosing, I think if you go through the execs, the former players, I think most people are going to say, hey, like, I know Patrick Mahomes is a bad man, and I'm picking him first from quarterback. But overall, if you're telling me I get Jalen Hurts throwing to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert with that defense, yeah, like, you're going to take that roster, and a part of that roster is they do have the ability to say, hey, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Josh Sweat, Jordan Day, like, go rush the passer and be elite. We're not going to blitz. They can do that. And then this, Kansas City Chiefs line has struggled a little bit, but I think the only issue they're going to have is what Joe Tooney's been able to do at left tackle. If this was, a month and a half ago where Tooney wasn't kind of this stable position guy that they put from left guard to left tackle, I would say, hey, those tackles are going to have a hard time. He's played really well.
Last one for you. Devin McCourty is going to be doing the pregame, halftime, and postgame show for Westwood One, the Super Bowl on radio. Because it's this time of year, we're always looking back at great Super Bowl matchups from years past. And obviously, you're in a lot of the highlights, Devin, that's for sure. What is the one game you're most proud of? Maybe not your favorite or best. I'm not asking you to pick between your children, but what's the one you're most proud of?
Obviously, the one I won with my brother was special, Super Bowl 53. But most proud would be Super Bowl 49 because of what some of these Eagles players are feeling. Of Super Bowl 46, we lose to the Giants. And I remember winning against the Colts in the AFC Championship, and everybody celebrating, and there was a contingency of us who were like, nah, we're not celebrating. Like, we've been there before. We experienced it. We were happy to be there. This time, it's only about winning. So winning that game against the Seahawks in Super Bowl 49 and running on the field, hugging Vince Wilfork, who was like a big brother to me, that moment was just, I was so proud because it was like, we got over the hump. Like, we're not in that kind of, limbo where we lost the Super Bowl, we lost 2 straight AFC Championship games. Like, we finally just did it. Like, we did it. Was an awesome moment at that time.
I mean, did you think you were going to lose? The Malcolm Butler at the goal line is the most
you
famous
didn't
play.
think you were going to win at some point. But, again, I played in 46 where Mario Manningham has that crazy catch on the sideline. Obviously, we all know about David Tyree's catch. So when Jermaine Kearse caught that ball, I'm like, you got how? Like, how am I here again? I'm never going to win one. And shout out Malcolm Butler. What an unbelievable play. Unbelievable.
Fun memory for
Some
the
people.
Patriots
Yeah.
side of this thing.
All non-Seahawks
Yeah,
fans.
Seahawks. So it might have actually put an end to the Seahawks. What could have been a dynasty.
Yeah.
Devin McCourty, have a fantastic broadcast, pregame, halftime, postgame show on Westwood 1 for the Super Bowl. You're going to be live in front of millions of people. I know that you've done this before. You did it last year, but just enjoy it. Have a great
I can't
time.
wait. It's awesome. Love it. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. It's hard to get through an interview with Devin McCourty because every former player comes up and daps him up.
Yep.
And part of the reason is, too, I think some of them think they're dapping up Jason McCourty. So, and by just beloved here at Radio Row. And he is the coolest, nicest guy, and he's brilliant because he said the Eagles just have more talent. And I agree. As an Eagles fan, he got me so hype about this, EJ. Do you agree that this Philadelphia Eagles team has more talent roster-wise?
I think they probably do, but in some ways, this can sound weird. I think it's irrelevant because I think when you get to this point of the season, you're going to have 2 of the most talented teams in the NFL, right? So there's not going to be a massive talent gap. Like you're talking about the Niners versus the Chargers in the 90s, something like that. Like when you get to this point, it's going to be a lot of talent there. So I think the talent difference, while I give the Eagles a slight edge, is not massive. And I think the experience difference between the Chiefs and the Eagles actually becomes maybe the more important thing. Because I think the Chiefs, with their experience, with their composure, with their willingness and their ability to work through pretty much any kind of adversity, that I think may actually be more important than the Eagles being a tick more talented, if that makes sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense, and I wish Maggie was here, and I don't know
why
what
is that
you're
not
doing.
making sense?
Because I'm an Eagles fan.
Eagles glasses are coming
Because
on.
I'm an Eagles fan,
They're
and it's
on.
Friday of the Super Bowl, and all this trying to be objective is out the window. They are a more talented team. All right. One team that doesn't have a lot of talent is the New York Giants. I want to keep pointing that out today. And it's like an anti-Giants week. With that, let's go to Andrew Bogusch. What's the latest, Bogusch?
The latest is you're a jerk, but that's not breaking news.
Fair and accurate.
Are you tired? Is this why you're extra salty today? What's going on?
Yes. So, Bogusch, you were texting us yesterday. EJ and I were lucky enough through Maggie to get tickets to a Chris Stapleton concert through Maggie's friend. And it looked awesome, and we were so psyched. And we got there, and Chris Stapleton was not coming on. And we were staring at a 3 a.m. alarm, and he's not coming on. He's not coming on. And eventually, EJ just bailed. I'm like,
so
I
bad.
got to hear one song by Chris Stapleton. So I stayed for 2 songs. I got home way too late. They were awesome, but don't be jealous of that, Bogusch, because it was a tough experience.
No, I'm jealous of one song, but I need a ruling on this text that I sent yesterday to you guys, because I remember last week when this concert was mentioned, you weren't sure if you guys were gonna go because of the late night, whatever. So it dawned on me yesterday, like I haven't seen anybody post about this, talk about this, you guys and others that I know are down there. So I text you guys, did the Stapleton concert happen yet? Meaning, was it on one of the previous nights of the week?
Right.
And EJ wrote back, no, that's later. So I went, oh, the weekend? He says, no, tonight. And I'm like, right. I know it didn't happen at noon on Thursday to say, oh, no, it happened later.
Yeah, I didn't
my
actually. I'm
gosh.
with EJ. I didn't understand what you're talking about, Bogusch. He obviously meant later in the
Right,
week.
exactly.
He didn't mean that you thought it was an 11 a.m. concert.
But
Yeah, what?
he said, no, that's later.
Like
So-
later in the week.
Right.
Right. No, he meant later tonight, later today,
Oh no, yeah, exactly.
as if
Right.
it would have happened during the daylight.
No, but okay, guys. It's obvious that your text referred to earlier in the week. So
Right.
I meant no, later tonight. I didn't write later tonight, but I write no, it's later. It's later. How is that a thing?
Because I thought if you would have said no, it's tonight, I would have been like, oh, okay, great, have fun.
Oh my gosh. Is this we need like a text?
No,
like,
I'll-
Rosetta Stone, I guess. So I need a ruling on this.
I'm open to taking the loss on this. I was just confused by you saying no, that's later, but meaning tonight as if it could have happened earlier on Thursday.
Why
All
would
right,
I
all
think
right,
that?
all right, all right. I play referee here.
Oh
Nobody
my
cares
God.
one way or the other. I might get tickets tonight just to make you a little more jealous, Bogues, to see Chris Stapleton again with Shabuzi and Jelly Roll.
What? This is another thing? Is this the
Yeah.
official concert? Isn't there usually a Super Bowl like mini music festival on one night?
No, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there are all sorts of concerts. Last night we were guests of Sirius, which was awesome.
Yeah.
They were awesome.
Tonight is the Madden party with those three people: Shabuzi, Jelly Roll, and Chris Stapleton. I think
And Brick
Stapleton's-
Johnson, right?
Oh, actually,
Yeah, Brick Johnson's right there, scouting out the Jets' new players next year.
then Stapleton's doing the national anthem, I believe.
Yes.
So he's got.
Damn.
Yeah, I think he's got to save his voice.
That's probably why I didn't come on
Yeah.
till midnight.
In the same scenario last year, I saw the worst concert I've ever seen in my life on Friday night of Super Bowl week. It was, I'm just going to Post Malone lip syncing, actually smoked a cigarette in the middle of a song, and he was still.
The track was still going.
Yeah. But he had a lot going on. Yeah. But I heard Post Malone. I think Post Malone's playing Saturday night.
Yes.
That's a hot ticket. I think he's playing a normal concert. Anyway, tons. It's New Orleans. There's music everywhere.
Yeah.
All right. What's going on in the sports world?
Our headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with our easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. So,
I Frenched that thing like I was in Paris.
Josh Allen might be the NFL MVP, but guys, DeMar Hamlin is somehow now a two-time loser for Comeback Player of the Year.
Oh, wow.
Joe Burrow took home the honors last night in New Orleans after battling back from that house robbery and possible outing of his secret girlfriend. But I don't mean to make light of this, but what does poor DeMar have to do to win this award? I don't understand.
Well, apparently, nearly dying is not enough.
Now, last year, I actually thought there was some logic in that he didn't play enough to win. This year, he played. He was
lot.
right a lot and
He's a
well.
starter.
Yeah,
he's a starter.
Key moments in the playoffs.
right.
But by the way, what did Joe Burrow? I didn't even know he was up for this.
He
thing.
was hurt.
He hurt his wrist at the end of the year last year, but he played.
Oh, right.
He played enough.
But
last
why? I
year.
thought Sam Darnold was going to win this thing.
Well-
he played 10 games last
Well,
year.
that becomes a Joe Flacco issue. Is are you just coming back from being bad? Like,
Right.
where are you coming back from?
Coming back from not playing. I mean, he wasn't even really a starter last year. He started one game.
Yeah, but that
But
made
Sam
sense
Darnold's
to
never
me.
been good though. So
Right, it was Sam
what's the
Darnold's
comeback?
fault that he had to come back.
I also feel like this is a lame award for Joe Burrow. Like, he should be winning MVPs. He doesn't want to come back. That's a Chad Pennington award, not an
Yep.
MVP award. Sorry.
Jets just caught it
You know,
straight.
that's my favorite.
Yeah.
You know, that's my favorite all-time quarterback. Thanks, Pearl.
Well, yeah, it was like he won. He's the only guy to win comeback player of the year back-to-back years because the guy got hurt so many times. DeMar Hamlin could have done it.
Allen's MVP was the only surprise last night. Kevin O'Connell, Coach of the Year. Jared Verse, the Rams Defensive Rookie of the Year. And Saquon Barkley, Offensive Player of the Year.
Wait. I was surprised. I was surprised by Burrow. I was surprised by Josh Allen, and I was surprised by the Hall of Fame as well. And I'm a little surprised. I'm actually a little surprised by all these. What do you mean it was the only surprise?
Well, Allen was the only one that was really an upset. And comeback player of the year, you just said doesn't matter, so I wouldn't count that in a surprise.
Well, I know you said Kevin O'Connell.
Oh, Kevin
You
O'Connell.
talked
I
last night,
actually,
you thought it was-
I'm not saying it's a surprise. I kind of thought it was Dan Quinn. I was a little surprised.
Okay, but I mean,
didn't have
Allen
that.
is a stunner, so let me take it to a whole other level.
I agree with that. Yeah. No, I feel like we're riding you today, Bogusch.
That's
that was
okay.
a good point.
Well, he came in
right.
basically being
I'm
upset about
shocked.
my text, so yeah, he deserves it. Because I said later, not later today, or later tonight.
We also have that new Hall of Fame class. It's Antonio Gage, Jared Allen, Sterling Sharp, and Eric Allen. It's the smallest class since 2005. The Dallas Mavericks have their first win since trading away Luka.
Kyrie comes and gets it against Hauser. They clear it out for him out top. Jab step, crossover right to left, top of the arc three. Good for Irving. Then a timeout by Joe Mazzulla. And the Mavericks extend their biggest lead of the night to 24.
Chuck Cooperstein, Mavs Radio. Kyrie scored 19, Klay Thompson 25, and a 127-120 win in Boston. Anthony Davis did not debut last night. Kyrie getting a little impatient.
Very excited. I'm very excited, man. It's not like having an MVP caliber teammate, and also he alleviates a lot of our mistakes. He once he gets out here and everybody sees him with us, we're going to make his job a lot easier, so I'm excited to get him.
That was Kyrie postgame on TNT. Maybe Davis plays tomorrow night at home against the Rockets, who lost in Minnesota last night, 127-114. Anthony Edwards with 41 for the T-Wolves. LeBron at 42, 17 rebounds, 8 assists as the Lakers outscored the Warriors 120-112. And the Nuggets down the Magic 112-90 behind another triple-double from Nikola Jokic, 28, 10, and 12. Before yesterday's trade deadline, the Hawks dealt DeAndre Hunter to the Cavs and Bogdan Bogdanovic to the Clippers. Our friend Ipe Mizuhara sentenced to 57 months in jail yesterday for stealing $17 million from Shohei Ohtani. He has until the end of March to report and begin serving that time. Big women's college basketball game last night. Tennessee finally beat UConn again, 80-76 in Knoxville. It's their first win over the Huskies since 2007. That includes the 4 meetings since the rivalry restarted back in 2020. And hockey last night, Colorado a 4-2 win in Calgary. Nathan McKinnon had 3 assists. Matthew Tkachuk scored the game winner with 12 seconds left in regulation. His Panthers 3, the Blues 2 in St. Louis. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks, Bogusch. We will not get into it on text today. We're going to be nice. I promise, and I apologize.
That's probably not going to happen because it's a regular day, but...
Yeah, but it is, the Super Bowl's on Sunday, so hopefully we won't have any Manny NBA texts for a couple days. Sorry, bud.
All righty.
We're just taking shots. We're tired. I'm sorry, we're tired. Unfortunately, Maggie's not with us. But all right, coming up, one of the most exciting young players in the NFL, a guy who almost took out the Eagles. Thankfully, he did not, and he's able to join us here on Radio Row at the Super Bowl. It's the Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
In his eyes, saying Kaplan's got a secret and he's hiding it inside. Zach Jobs lost in darkness, Ryan Stream's a mess, Chappelle Wolf's just a spinning wheel. Oh Lord, what a distress. But Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily says it's shady, but I swear on my name, I just push the buttons, I don't play no games. Now Peter Bellotti, well he don't show, and that man's supposed to be running this show. If there's a tech problem, don't look at me. Ask the guy who's missing more than Tennessee team. So Davey, my friend, don't spread that lie. I ain't no bandit, I just make strings fly. But Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright, like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily says it's shady, but I swear on my name, I just push the buttons, I don't play no games. Now Peter Bellotti, well, he don't show, and that man's supposed to be running this show. If there's a tech problem, don't look at me. Ask the guy who's missing more than Tennessee team. So, Debbie, my friend, don't spread that lie. I ain't no bandit, I just make strings fly.
One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff show. Strange day. Maggie was up partying all night in the Big Easy. We're talking beads. We're talking hurricane drinks. We're talking alligator, not like live alligators, alligator food. No, I'm just kidding. She's feeling under the weather, but we were lucky enough to talk to some of the big luminaries around the NFL yesterday, including one of, to me, the most exciting young players in the league, Rams running back Kyren Williams, who fortunately did not beat my Eagles and was able to come here to Radio Row, and it's super cool. All right, Kyren, it was a slow start for the Los Angeles Rams. What changed for the team?
I think that's a kudos, what Coach Sean McVay did. He knew, obviously, we were where we were at 1-4, and he knew that the capability of this team, that's not the best football that we put out there. And so he came to us in a meeting and basically broke it down to us. It's like, this is however many days that we have left together. And every single day that goes by is another day that we have, shorter on the season. The season's about to end. And so when he gave us that realization and, put that in front of us, it kind of like, brought things to reality. He's like, okay, now we got to, start fighting back. And now we got to really be connected as a team, stay as one.
I noticed around the league this year, Sean McVay, you think of this offensive guru, high-flying, high-octane offense. Feels like a lot of teams really got back to the run. And I feel like you guys really played well when the run game was emphasized. Was that something that Sean McVay talked about and said, hey, we really want to establish the ground game first?
Yes, 1,000%. We kind of each and every week throughout the middle of the season, we were having practices where it was just run only.
Really?
We would only just call run plays so that, we can set those blocks, get those combinations started so that I can press the line, have great vision, great patience. Just being able to read out my blocks, and so that was definitely an emphasis. That was definitely a key factor into why we had success later on in the season. Because once we got the run game together, we can mix it all together. You can make things look like the same play.
Oh yeah, I mean when it was a 2nd and 4, is that a different spot for the offense? I feel like Matthew Stafford just looks happy after you get a 6-yard run.
1,000%. He looks happier. Coach McVay looks happier, and everything's just. When we're ahead of those sticks, everything just goes smoothly. It works out better than playing from behind the sticks.
Yeah. Kyren Williams joining us, the Pro Bowl running back for the LA Rams on behalf of Sleep Number. We'll get to that in just a moment. Obviously, you played the Eagles twice this year.
Yeah.
Best defense that you faced all season?
For sure. I mean, yeah, probably. Definitely the most aggressive. The most active from first level, second level to third level. They're all kind of swarm to the ball. They attack that ball, obviously, which I know. But just being able to go against those guys and line up against them twice in a season. It was a great opportunity.
Kyren Williams joining us. Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
It looks like the team and the player are going to work for a trade. What is the team going to be losing in a guy like Kupp, your teammate?
Just a veteran. A guy in the locker room that you can go to, you can talk to, a guy that you can kind of sit back to and observe and see what it is and what it looks like to be a professional. That's kind of what we're losing. We're kind of losing a guy who obviously knows the ins and outs about the game, but also is a great person off the field and always wants to, see the best in you and what you're capable of. And so I'm going to miss Coop.
Kyren Williams is joining us on behalf of Sleep Number. So what's your number? Are you sleeping on like a cloud-like mattress or more like a bed of nails?
No, I'm at an 80. I'm at an 80 on my bed setting.
Yeah, I got
and so
firm. Yep.
I like it firm. I don't really like a soft bed, and being able to, be with Sleep Number because – growing up, like I said, I've always envisioned myself to be here where I'm at. And so, like, being able to see, like, the Sleep Number commercials and, like, dang, I want one of those beds. So, like, the first thing I got to in the league was, so how am I able to get a Sleep Number bed? Because I knew that was the NFL sponsorship. I knew that was something that you were able to get. With being on the Rams, a lot of our teammates, 95% of my teammates, use that bed. And so I was super excited. That was probably the first thing I asked for before anything. I was like, how can I get my bed?
We're on all over the country, and we love talking to fans from everywhere, but we have a very strong foothold in Northern California and the San Francisco 49ers, and one of your big rivals. We get calls about the 49ers all the time. Can you describe that rivalry from your standpoint?
To me, it's like a classic football rivalry. It's like the team that you really don't like to play. It's a team that there's a lot of history. That we're in the same state. I wouldn't say border, but we're kind of like in the same state. So it's kind of like just that old-time rivalry. Like, this is the one team that we don't like, and we don't want to, we don't want them to beat us. And so that, to me, is like a classic football rivalry.
What's McVay like the week before he's got to face Kyle Shanahan?
He's locked in. He's making sure that we're locked in, and there's no lapses. He's making sure that everything, the game plan is sealed tight.
Maggie mentioned your contract. Saquon Barkley, I think, might have changed the game a little bit this year. There was this trend. I'm sure you followed. The running back contracts have been going a little bit downward. Are you kind of pulling for Saquon because he's done a lot for? Is there a brotherhood of running backs?
I think there should be. If there's not, I don't think there's one that's spoken, but I think there's an unspoken brotherhood of running backs, because we all know that the disrespect that we do get, from people outside of the game, people who really aren't seeing how much a running back contributes to an offense and how much, if you can set up the run, then how that opens up the pass for you. And so I think I'm definitely rooting for Saquon.
Last one for you. We are also on in South Bend, Indiana.
Ooh, go Irish, let's go.
Which I know is near and dear to your heart, playing for the Irish. So how did you feel coming away from the season? You got so close in that furious comeback against Ohio State, but ultimately fell a bit short.
Man, it was great to see that. As an alumni of Notre Dame and being able to, I guess, be 3 years removed. So none of my class is there no more. So I'm a true fan, and so being able just to see how far they got and just to continue to see like the work that they put out there against those big teams who people thought they had no chance to get, and they come out with a win. To me, it made my heart feel good because I know what it feels like. I know what it's like to be in that grind of college football, and you're fighting for that national championship every single year. And my teams, the years that I was there, we never came close.
Yeah.
And so to be able to see them actually in the national championship game, it's like it was a great feeling because it's like Notre Dame's getting that respect back.
Yeah, I think there's going to be more in the future.
1,000%. Yeah.
The last one, Liam Cohen was your offensive coordinator, right? When you were with the Rams, when he did the Duval chant at the opening, did you text him? I mean, that thing was hilarious.
Yeah. No, I didn't text him. I didn't text him at all, but I did laugh. It was funny. I remember watching it for the first time, and I watched it. And I kept watching it, and I kept watching it, and I kept watching it, and it was just funny. But good for Liam, though. You know, like you said, he was my OC my rookie year, so we were kind of close. We didn't really get to, be in the conversations that, we would have now. But, I'm excited for him and what he has to do for the Jaguars.
The next time you see him, just got to go,
Duval.
Kyren
So
Williams,
funny.
on behalf, I don't know why it was so funny, but it's every time you watch it. On behalf of Sleep Number, you're an official sleep and wellness partner of the NFL. You said you always wanted this.
Yes.
So congrats, you got it.
Thank you so much.
Duval.
Oh, man, Maggie loves to do Duval. There's two stories that Maggie loves more than anything on earth. Maggie is a little sick today. She loves Liam Cohen saying Duval in his opening press conference of the Jaguars head coach, and she loves the Ipe story.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, that's Otani's interpreter was just sentenced. Unfortunately, she doesn't get to talk about that or Josh Allen MVP.
Honestly, maybe that's why she's out, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
she's
she had
studying.
the Ipe sentencing. Then you had us talking to Kyren Williams about Duval and him also enjoying this story. And then it was like the eye before the storm of like Josh Allen about to become MVP. And he starts to get super sick. Maybe this is all just like things coming up too much, Maggie.
Yeah. Can I share a behind-the-scenes weird conversation? EJ Stewart's sitting in for Maggie today. So we're sitting underneath a gigantic Super Bowl banner here in New Orleans at Radio Row, and Jalen Hurts is screaming on there. His left arm has veins and muscles that are ridiculous. Jalen Hurts obviously is quite big and in good shape. And I was telling EJ, and again, this might sound weird, Travis Hunter walked by me, the Colorado superstar Heisman Trophy winner, and I was like, this dude is not big.
No.
He's probably about 6 feet, but he is like a walking muscle.
Yep.
He is just ripped. And I said to EJ, I'm like, I think he's going top 3 because this is not scientific at all, but he just looks different than everybody else here. He just looks like he moves differently. He looks like he could play wide receiver, cornerback, or whatever. And you ask me, do you think he'll go top 2? I see a lot of mock drafts. It's mock draft season. And a lot of people are moving Shador down to possibly 6 to the Las Vegas Raiders. Reality is, as we get closer to the end of April in Green Bay for the draft, I still think quarterback goes 1 and 2. I think it goes Cam Ward 1 to the Titans and Shador Sanders 2 probably to the Browns unless Deion makes some noise. And if it's not that, I think someone trades up to them. So I understand.
Yeah.
I understand they are not blue chip, surefire, Andrew Luck type prospects, but I still think it's QB 1 and 2 at the end of the day.
But the thing is, these two teams at the top seem a little unpredictable, right? Like
Yeah.
we've heard the Titans kind of make weird comments about taking somebody generational, and then now we have the Browns with this Myles Garrett situation, and you have a prime time, no pun intended, I know we're talking about Shador and stuff, but like a premier pass rusher that's near the top of this draft that you would think, if you do want to move on from Myles Garrett, would slide right in there. And you don't have to pay him, the zillion dollars you have to pay Myles Garrett. You have a guy on a rookie deal and Abdul Carter. So
Maybe,
I kind of see what people are saying when they keep putting these guys down. But if you're the Browns or the Titans, how do you pass up on a quarterback? What are they going to do? Who's going to play quarterback next year?
How about a trade down to 3 with the Giants, who also desperately need a quarterback, similar to when
Is that right?
Yeah, that's actually factual. When the Bears drafted Mitchell Trubisky, they had to do this little trade with the Niners. They swapped 2 and 3. That was actually the Myles Garrett draft, I believe. And the Niners took Solomon Thomas, and the Bears ended up with Trubisky at 2. So maybe the Browns are like, you know what? We have so many holes. Let's trade down with a 2 spot and try and fill that. I have no idea who plays quarterback. I really don't think Deshaun Watson's going to be healthy enough.
I don't think so, no.
He's had setbacks on his Achilles injury. I'm almost certain.
He had another surgery, I believe.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. I don't know who plays quarterback there. It is a tough spot. Tennessee, same thing. Like, they cannot pass on Cam Ward.
Right.
I've seen some workout videos of Cam Ward. It'll be interesting. I have not seen any of the draft prospects except for Travis walking. Oh, Travis and Shador.
Shador, yeah.
Did you see Cam Ward at all? I've not
I
seen
didn't
him.
see Cam Ward at all.
Oh, we had Jalen Milroe on.
Yeah, Jalen Milroe came over.
He was good.
He was awesome a couple days ago. Yeah, I mean, Shador and they basically did a podcast over there. So he was there as almost like a content creator, more or less than like a guy doing actual interviews as a player.
Yeah, and Shador, he has this giant poster here, and instead of an S, it has a $sign. I was thinking about like stodgy GMs are like, wait a second, he has a podcast and he's got a $sign because they want to draft guys who are all football.
Yeah.
That day is long gone.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
NIL era, social media era. Yeah, I think he's going to be the first of many quarterbacks that are going to be like this, actually.
Yeah, and a lot of players, actually a lot of active players have podcasts now.
Yeah.
They're all over this radio row, too. Things have changed a lot. All right, coming up, we're going to talk to one of the best in the business, the man who actually called the last Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl 2 years ago for Fox. Of course, Greg Olsen. Now, listen. He's saying all the right things, but we're going to ask him, hey, you a little jealous of Tom Brady? That's next, M&P.
Duval. Well, Bobby Burke, we tuned in every night. From Maggie and Perloff, man, it just feels right. Something's missing, cuts to the bone. Shepherd's gone, now he's all alone. Chip had the wisdom, the voice, the flair. A legend on stream, ain't nobody compared. But now there's a hole where the magic once stood. A cowboy lost in the deep dark woods. Oh, Shepherd Wolf, where did you go? Bobby's heart is breaking, Lord, don't you know? No more streams, just a memory remains, like a country song with a lonesome refrain. Oh, Shepherd Wolf, where did you go? Bobby's heart is breaking, Lord, don't you know? No more streams, just a memory remains, like a country song with a lonesome refrain. Peter Lombardi, what he's gone to, not from the stream, just from work, it's true. A ghost in the office, a myth of a man, never shows up, ain't part of the plan. Bobby's refreshing, checking the feed, hoping for a ship, it's a desperate need. But all he gets is a cold, empty space. No ship, no Bilotti, just sadness to face. Oh, Shepherd Wolf, where did you go? Bobby's heart is breaking, Lord, don't you know? No more streams, just a memory remains, like a country song with a lonesome refrain. Oh, Shepherd Wolf. For Shepherd's a desperate need, but all he gets is a cold empty space. No ship, no Bilotti, just sadness to face. So Shepherd Wolf, where did you go? Bobby's heart is breaking, Lord, don't you know? No more streams, just a memory remains, like a country song with a lonesome refrain. Bobby, the one-day ship will return. Till then, the fire of fandom will burn. Peter Bilotti, don't hold your breath. He's dodging that time card till the day of his death. So Bobby keeps watching, but deep in his soul, he knows the Shepherd Wolf won't take back his role. And Bilotti, well, that's just a joke. Might as well chase down a trail full of smoke. Goodbye, Chief. Goodbye, she said. Still alive, somewhere. Who knows? Who knows? Bobby Buck returns in every night. From Maggie and Perloff, man, it just feels right. But something's missing, it cuts to the bone. Shepherd Wolf's gone, now he's all alone. Ship had the wisdom, the voice, the flair, the legend on stream, ain't nobody compared. But now there's a hole where the magic once stood, a cowboy lost in the deep dark woods. Oh, Shepherd Wolf, where did you go? Bobby's heart is breaking, Lord, don't you know? No more streams, just a memory remains, like a country song with a lonesome refrain. Peter Bilotti, well, he's gone too, not from the stream, just from work, it's true. A ghost in the office, A myth of a man never shows up, ain't part of the plan. Bobby's refreshing, checking the feed, hoping for shelf, it's a desperate need. But all he gets is a cold, empty space. No shit, no bloody, just sadness to face. Oh, Shep and Wolf, where did you go? Bobby's heart is breaking, Lord, don't you know?
.30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
We did it. We finally broke Maggie Gray. She just could not stand watching me enjoy the fruits of the Philadelphia Eagles, my team, reaching the Super Bowl, staying in the Eagles hotel, running by Saquon Barkley, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata was at the bar last night. It is Eagles heaven, and unfortunately her Buffalo Bills are not here. E.J. Stewart is sliding over to the big chair here. It's been great in New Orleans. I was thinking about this, EJ. There's so many ways to get sick, like Maggie is right now in New Orleans. There's obviously the partying. There's the rich food. I thought about something else that made me nervous. We went to an alligator farm on Monday.
You did.
And we touched a lot of amphibians and lizards, and there was a lot of weird things in there. We went into the shed, and he's like, try to breathe through some sort of filter. Like, she easily could have gotten an exotic disease from one of these animals.
Yeah, I thought about that. I also thought about, and this is getting weird because we are in the Eagles hotel, there is this Eagles flu going around.
Oh, like Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter's apparently sick. We don't know with what, but he is sick. And there's word that maybe other guys are getting sick too. I wonder if maybe that's what's going around.
That is making me sick. I mean, that could be a game changer because Jalen Carter is the main. He is the special sauce for the Eagles. You know, one thing, he could disrupt the game up the middle, and then Nolan Smith will run down Patrick Mahomes on the edge. This is my fantasy, of course. That is a big deal because there's going to be such a small margin of victory here. I expect a really close game because the Chiefs always play a close game. You know, overtime, Super Bowl, the last game against the Eagles basically came down to 2 or 3 plays. I think the big play the last time they played was Jalen Hurts' fumble that led to a touchdown for the Chiefs because the Eagles could have crushed them in that game. And there's a great chance, a lot of people are saying, last hour, Devin McCourty said the Eagles are a more talented team. It doesn't matter against the Chiefs.
It doesn't. I mean, we've seen the Chiefs do this, right, where they face teams like the Ravens last year or the Bills in previous years or the Niners in Super Bowls where you feel like the other team has from 1 to 53 better players. But it does not matter because at the end of the day, their guts, their guile, their ability to face adversity and their ability to come through in the clutch, it usurps that. At the end of the day, they have the best player on the field at all times in Patrick Mahomes.
But I'll tell you one thing, the Eagles have confidence.
Yes,
We've talked to some Eagles. Like, the Eagles are not caught up in three-peat in history. That doesn't mean they're going to win anything, but I don't think that they are going to come into this game with any less belief than the Chiefs that they can win this game because also their style of play. They're big and physical on their offensive line. I think they can overwhelm the Chiefs. You saw against the Bills. The Bills came out in the second half and just ran it down the Chiefs' throat. It totally worked. We know that the Eagles are going to want to do this. On the other hand, I talked to a guy who's betting the Chiefs who said Steve Spagnuolo the defensive coordinator, is going to cook up something that is going to stymie Nick Sirianni. And I'm like, yeah, well, that that reads. I have no problem with that piece of analysis.
That math is mathing.
Yeah. Let me see. Steve Spagnuolo, Nick Sirianni, and I've been supporting Nick Sirianni. I think he's kind of underrated as a good coach because he's a bit eccentric. But Spagnuolo on the defensive side, we've seen it so many times at the Super Bowl. Why would we come into this game on Sunday and think that he's not going to cook up something?
I know. That's the difference in this game, right? Is the Eagles' offense so many weapons, Saquon Barkley, MVP caliber year, but they have a defensive coordinator who knows how to win this game.
Yeah, this
maybe
game.
more so than maybe any other defensive coordinator. Maybe it's at Belichick, literally. He knows how to win this game. He knows how to prepare. He uses these 2 weeks. He has his team ready. So he's going to know the Eagles like the back of his hand. I'm very fascinated by this because the Eagles are a weird team in that you could think that you've bottled up Saquon Barkley and he goes for 80 yards.
Yeah.
This is kind of a unique challenge. I feel like a lot of other teams they played, maybe Christian McCaffrey was kind of like that last year, but most of these Super Bowls, I feel like they really didn't play players like that, where you could feel like for 55,
Well, McCaffrey.
That's what I said. Besides
McCaffrey.
McCaffrey.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Right, besides McCaffrey, maybe. You play 55 minutes of the game, you feel like you got this thing locked up, and then Saquon can hit 2 or 3 in the last 3 minutes. That's how explosive he is. So in some ways with the Eagles, that will always give them a puncher's chance, more than a puncher's chance, because Saquon can have a terrible 2 or 3 quarters, and then he could dominate a fourth quarter with 2 60-yard runs and change the entire landscape of the game.
No, you're absolutely right. The first Niners team they beat did have an explosive run game that the Chiefs shut down.
Yeah.
I mean, that Chiefs team, I love the Chiefs linebackers. I think they're
awesome.
completely underrated. He's amazing. Yeah. So it's going to be a really interesting matchup. We're psyched to talk to Greg Olsen, of course, who called the last game. Amazing broadcaster, help us out with all these X's and O's. All right, Greg, you called the game when they played last time. What can you take away from that game that you think will apply to this one?
I think it's actually pretty fascinating the fact that they'll play each other now twice in 3 years, and it's a lot of familiar faces, right? It's same quarterbacks, same coaches, same head coaches. Obviously, new coordinators on the side for Philadelphia. But then you look at like the star power that's been added into the mix, right? Obviously, Saquon Barkley and the seasons he's had. So a lot of the underlying approach to the way each team wants to play is very consistent. Now, they've dressed it up. They have some new pieces, right? Kelsey's no longer the center. Saquon Barkley's now at running back. So there's some obviously some key differences. But how Philadelphia wants to play is still very similar. Right? They want to get up. They want to play great defense. They want to play with the lead because they're going to run the ball more than anybody in the league. And traditionally, other teams can't play that style game. It's just you can't score any points. Now, on the flip side, the Kansas City approach, I mean, I don't know what else we could say at this point. Like everything that they've accomplished in spite of how the league is set up to prevent it from happening. They're going to go down as one of the greatest runs in the history of this league and Mahomes. And we could go on and on and on about them. So it's a great matchup. I think Philly's got the best roster in football, and I think Kansas City's the hardest beat. They win the most critical moments of the game. So it's a fascinating matchup.
I rewatched the game the other day on the NFL Network. It was so exciting, but I was thinking, I knew the result. There's something magical about the way Kansas City does it at the end. I know everyone's talking X's and O's and schematics. How do you explain their ability to win close games?
Well, I think it's emphasis, right? I don't think you win 17 one-score games in a row by luck or by chance or because the rules are changed for you or because the officials. Those are all just lazy analysis that I think just make people feel better when they're watching greatness. Okay, there's got to be a reason why outside of just because they're really good and because they have great players in critical spots. And, when you look at the critical moments of each game, there's 2 paths to winning in the NFL. I'm just better than you, and I'm going to win more plays than I lose, and I'm just going to overwhelm you, and I'm going to win. That's the most straightforward. That's the most logical approach. But in Kansas City's approach is they might lose more plays than you on any given game. They might lose more than they win, but they win the weighted plays. They win the plays that have more critical impact on the game. When it's 3rd and short inside the 5, and it's do I come away with 7 or do I got to settle for a field goal, they have the right play for a touchdown. When they've got to get a defensive stop on 3rd down and 3rd and pass, Spags dials up the unblocked pressure to take you down to force you to punt. Or we got to, the AFC Championship is the perfect example. They've got a lead there at the end of the game after they get to stop, and they got 3rd and medium. A lot of teams are saying, we're not going to throw the ball, risk incomplete. We're borderline field goal range. They have the perfect play. They run a little mesh to the back in the left flat. They throw him the ball. 1st down, kneel the game out, and Josh Allen never touches the ball. It's like Those gotta have it moments. They practice, they stress. It helps that you have generationally good players. Like, that's the formula for what makes them so hard. If it's a close game, they just win the most invaluable plays of the matchup, and it's just hard. It's just hard to overcome it.
Multi-time Pro Bowler Greg Olsen here with us on behalf of DraftKings. You're a talent ambassador. We like this promo. DraftKings is offering all customers a touchdown bet match. You opt in, you place any touchdown bet, you receive a bonus bet equal to the original stake.
We had a debate this week. If Travis Kelce wins and three-peats, is he unquestionably the greatest tight end to ever play?
I think he is. I think when you factor in the individual accomplishments, the longevity, the production over time, I hate even mentioning this, but like, he plays every game. His postseason stats, I mean, forget what he's done in the regular season. I think he ended up losing his streak the last 2 years, but he was like 1,000 yards in a row seasons. But then in the postseason, I think he's like second best ever behind Jerry Rice. I mean, we're talking like historic companies. So when you factor in regular season, postseason, Super Bowls, yeah, I do. And I never in a million years would have thought, right? The closest one who I always thought got to Tony Gonzalez was Gronk. Similar to Travis and what he's accomplished, the wins, the legacy, the dynasty type team he was on. But I don't know how you argue against what Travis has done for the length of time he's done it. Regular season and postseason impact. It's hard for me to sit here and believe it. I never thought anyone would pass Tony, but I think he does. I don't know if he's ever going to retire. It just feels like he could just keep doing this forever and then make the playoffs and just go off on everybody. Yeah, it's been a pretty unique stretch for him.
Greg Olsen is joining us on behalf of DraftKings. Okay, this was an interesting one. Away from this game for a second, because one of your former teammates was in the news, ruffled a few feathers, and that's quarterback Cam Newton has a way of doing that, where he said that he wouldn't have traded his MVP for a Super Bowl. Now, you played on that Carolina Panthers team that got so close and came up short against the Denver Broncos. How did you take that as a teammate?
I think the perception around, I can understand why people were all kind of in a tizzy. I think those of us that knew Cam can like interpret Cam's intentions and kind of understand what he's saying. I think Cam's point that he was trying to make, and I'm actually going to see him later, so I might ask him. I think the point he was trying to make is there's a lot of people that have won Super Bowls. Winning a Super Bowl, being a Super Bowl winner, of course, is valuable. It's everybody's dream. But there's a lot of ways that you can be a Super Bowl winner. You can be the impactful MVP quarterback, or you could just be on the team and still get the ring. So, like, that's where the gray area of Super Bowl champion designations, everyone's role in reaching that is very different. There's a wide spectrum. I think Cam's point was my impact on the game, the way it's played, the level in which I played, the energy in which I brought to our team, that the impact that I made, which is emblematic of winning the MVP, goes farther beyond than me being tagged an MVP quarterback. Now, if you ask Cam that question in a different way and said, hey, if that season, you had the exact same season, you throw for the exact same touchdowns, but Lamar, it's today, and you're Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, right? Where both of them have had MVP seasons. Right. Only one's going to win. If you ask the other one, would you rather have your exact season and win the Super Bowl and let the other guy have the MVP? Cam's saying yes 100% of the time. So I think Cam's point was, I don't want to be an irrelevant player that was just along for the ride to get a Super Bowl. I want to be an MVP level player, and then if I get the Super Bowl, like, I know I had the role. I think that's the point he's trying to make, and that point I get it.
I know you said you want to get back to calling Super Bowls, and everyone wants you back there. Do you think that will be with Fox?
I don't know. Obviously a lot of that is out of my control, and I know last week I was doing like a charity thing for my foundation, and obviously I get these questions, and it kind of blew up into a bigger story than maybe I intended it to be. So
yeah, you said you held a little resentment about being moved off the
I
number
didn't
one
say
team
that. He
for Tom.
asked me,
yeah.
Do you hold any resentment? And I said, I don't think that's the right word for it. And so anyway, we all know how this game works.
Yes.
I've been very clear with my approach towards all of this. My desires and aspirations to continue to pursue this at a high level and call top games and call Super Bowls and playoff games and all that is completely independent of my relationship with Tom, Kevin Burkhardt, Fox, and all of those people. I have no personal animosities or conflict with any of them. I've gotten to know Tom over the last 6-8 months. We have a very good relationship. We talk often. We just talked on the phone a week ago. Like, this notion that I root against him or this notion that I can't watch games he broadcasts is not true. When I watch playoff games, do I wish I was calling the game? Of course. When I'm watching the Super Bowl, do I wish I was calling the Super Bowl? Of course. But that is a very separate conversation from I wish ill will, I wish failure, I wish towards Fox, because I don't at all have those feelings. Fox has been great to me. They gave me my first opportunity to even call games fresh out of the league. So, I just want to make sure I'm very clear with that because, yes, I'm going to continue to pursue this to call great games. At Fox, I don't know how that's going to work out. Obviously, if Tom does this for 20 years, the answer is very simple. So I don't know how all that's going to shake out. I'm going to continue to pursue this at a high level because I think I can, because I enjoy it. I love learning the game. And how the rest of the moving pieces sort out, we'll see.
Greg Olsen, on behalf of DraftKings, enjoy the game. We appreciate you explaining the game to us in a way we can understand when we're watching. Thank you so much, Greg.
Thanks, guys.
Man, he is really, really good. Hopefully someday he'll get to call a Super Bowl again. Hopefully my Eagles will also be in that Super Bowl. Is that to ask too much for?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, you guys, how many Super Bowls have you guys been in the last few years? Like, the Eagles are like I don't want to say a dynasty, but they're a quote-unquote model franchise, which is kind of bizarre to say.
Perennial NFC champions.
Another theme that's emerged this week, it's like tight end you here. For some reason, because Kelsey has a chance to really become, in many ways, the greatest tight end ever. And Greg Olsen's a big part of that tight end community. That is a community I want to be part of. They're not wide receivers. They're not linemen. They're the coolest guys. I'm sorry, that is now the coolest position.
I agree. Yeah, and I think that there are some guys coming out of this year's draft that are going to be great, too. They're going to add to the talent. So,
you're Miami guy?
I got Elijah Arroyo. How about Ty Warren? I think we got some just dogs coming out of this draft.
And Brock Bowers last year.
Yeah, exactly. Brock Bowers was an absolute stud. I wanted the Jets to get him, and of course they screwed that up. Thanks, Joe Douglas. But no, that's an awesome position.
Well, my favorite position used to be safety because hard-hitting safeties, when the NFL allowed safeties to clobber people. Brian Dawkins was here. I am telling you right now, he could suit up for the Eagles. I'll bet you he
looks awesome.
I bet you he's in that locker room at some point.
Definitely.
Nobody. I've seen video of Brian Dawkins hyping guys. We've interviewed him a couple times, and even just doing a normal interview, you get like, all right, I'm ready to go out and hit somebody. And trust me, I can't hit anybody, but Brian Dawkins is awesome. Speaking of, our next guest also has that effect on people. Actually, they want to hit him more. We're going to talk to a gigantic pro wrestling star, one of our absolute favorites, Seth Rollins. Will be on set. That's next, right here on the Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Oh, Shep and Wolf, where did you go? Bobby's town, the suspicion is now Bailey rode into town, the suspicion is eyes, saying Kaplan's got a secret and he's hiding it inside. Sack Job's lost in darkness, Ryan streams a mess, Chappelle and Wolf's just a spinning wheel. Oh Lord, what a distress. But Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily says it's shady, but I swear on my name, I just push the buttons, I don't play no games. Now Peter Bellotti, well he don't show, and that man's supposed to be running this show. If there's a tech problem, don't look at me. Ask the guy who's missing more than Tennessee team. So Davey, my friend, don't spread that lie. I ain't no bandit, I just make strings fly. But Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright, like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily says it's shady, but I swear on my name, I just push the buttons, I don't play no games. Now Peter Bellotti, well, he don't show, and that man's supposed to be running this show. If there's a tech problem, don't look at me. Ask the guy who's missing more than Tennessee team. So, Debbie, my friend, don't spread that lie. I ain't no bandit, I just make strings fly.
And scrutiny on Sunday.
Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright, like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily says it's shady, but I swear on my name, I just push the buttons, I don't play no games. Oh, don't play no games. Oh, babe, my friend, don't spread that lie. I ain't no bandit, I just make streams fly.
1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. We meet a lot of people here at Super Bowl Radio Row, and they're all very friendly, and you don't know what to believe or not to believe. But I got to tell you, and I apologize, Maggie is off today, but we got to talk to one of our favorites, and I think this man genuinely likes me, believe it or not, even though we are quite opposite in many ways. And, of course, that is WWE superstar Seth Rollins. So great to see him. All right, the Elimination Chamber takes place Saturday, March 1st at Rogers Center. Tickets available at Ticketmaster. Seth, this is becoming a yearly chat at Radio Row. You've been so busy.
You know, I wish it was more than annual. I want it to be like biannual, triannual. I feel like we need to soup this up a little bit. I really enjoyed coming to see you guys and talk to you, so love to do it more often.
Yeah, got to come downtown New York City. I'm sure you're in New York once in a while.
Oh, every once in a while.
Are you a New York guy, though? Do you like the hustle and bustle in New York City?
So if I'm in it, once I'm in, I'm okay with it. But my history in New York is always we're in, we're out. And the worst part of New York City is getting in and out of it. You know what I'm saying? So most of my experience is just like driving in, yelling at people honking at you the whole time. And then you get to, for us, we were at the Garden all the time. We get there, we're trying to park, people are trying to accost us. It's a whole ordeal. And then you're just trying to get out, and that's a disaster because you get traffic at 4 a.m. And I'm like, what are we doing here?
I know. You might as well just get a Sbarro slice of pizza and
right?
call it a day. You haven't even seen New York.
But once I'm in, man, the life, the people, that part I love. That part I love. My wife's always like, we should look at a place there. I'm like, let's let's pump the brakes a little bit. We'll see.
Yeah, we're talking about Seth Rollins, your wife Becky Lynch, and we'll ask about her in a second because we haven't seen her in a little bit because you guys have a baby and your parents, and you have a lot of things, very important things going on. We mentioned you're a Bears fan, and we'll get to the wrestling stuff in a minute, but I mean, this has got to be a time of optimism for you, right?
Yeah, it's the off season. That's the Bears. That's the Bears history. We're excited in the off season. This is our time to shine. High draft picks and cool signings and all this stuff. But to jump on that, I mean, this does feel different. And no offense to Matt Eberflus, when we hired him a few seasons ago, there wasn't a lot of excitement in the city. People were mostly concerned with, are we pronouncing his name right? Who is this guy? Where did he come from? Why did we hire him? Are we getting his name right? This year, everybody knows who Ben Johnson is. He's the belle of the ball in the offseason. Shocked the McCaskey family wrote the check, to be honest with you, because we're not. They don't do that. They don't do that when it comes to their coaches. So we got guys in the right place. I'm very excited about the Dennis Allen hire as well as DC guy with head coaching experience to come in and kind of accent with Ben Johnson. So I mean, I'm excited. But like I said, as a Bears fan in the offseason, we're always excited about potential. Now we got to go out there and win games.
Seth Freakin Rollins is here with us. We should mention Saturday, March 1st, Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
That's going to be in Toronto. You're just coming off of the Royal Rumble. Oof. Took a beating there at the end. And doled out one, too,
I doled out
Seth.
a beating, yeah. I was the one doing the beating after I had been beaten. You know what? Emotions will get the best of you sometimes. And so the Rumble, this is a great season for us. It's the end of the football season, but for us, it's WrestleMania season.
Yep.
We are building to the biggest show of the year in Vegas in April. Elimination Chamber, you mentioned, and I call it Skydome. I know it's Rogers Center. I call it Skydome.
It will always be Skydome.
Huge event there, and it is basically the last stop on the road to WrestleMania, unless you include, Raw on Netflix and SmackDown on USA. But this is the big premium live event. It's inside this massive cage, the Elimination Chamber. It's really scary, kind of. I've never won the Elimination Chamber match. I have to qualify to get in. I have a match on Raw in a couple weeks. Once I get in there, hopefully I can, it's John Cena's last Elimination Chamber. CM Punk's qualified to be in there, so I would love to be a part of that and kind of punch my ticket to WrestleMania.
As we said, that's going to be March 1st, Saturday, March 1st. You mentioned CM Punk, so let's talk about CM Punk
him.
Because
Sure.
this has been pretty epic. I mean, listen, you guys match up so well together, and you put on these incredible performances. But Seth, at times, this stuff gets really personal between you two. And it's funny because we've gotten a chance to interview Punk when he did take his hiatus, from WWE.
Oh,
and
you
bring in, after he did the podcast, he did a whole media tour blasting all of you guys.
Yes.
I mean, he was.
Yes, there's no way around it. Yeah, and
now he's back, and you guys are really leaning into that.
I mean, that's the beauty of what we do, right? And we don't have to pull punches. We can get it all out there. It's almost like a therapy session on live TV because there's a lot of history, personal history there between me and CM Punk, and different perspectives, right? He's on a different side of it, and he's 10 years older than I am, almost. He sees our relationship a lot different than I did, and so it's been very interesting to kind of lay all of this out to the world because I think people see it from both sides, especially someone who might be a fan of CM Punk. They root for him. They wanted him to come back. They longed for him to come back to WWE. But then you start to hear the side of the people who he sort of stepped on along the way with no apologies and no remorse. And you start to hear that and you start to ask questions about, whose side am I really on here? Who is the good guy? Who is the bad guy in this? And I think that's what makes it interesting. But, yeah, for me, it's been an interesting time, an interesting year to be able to kind of lay all that out, this stuff that I've kept inside for a long time. You'd see it pop out here and there in little interviews, but now to finally get a microphone and just be able to unload on the guy, I mean, the truth is the truth, and sometimes it hurts.
So we were at WrestleMania in Philadelphia.
At Philly, my hometown represented so well.
Great.
I mean,
I felt so bad for you guys. Night one was freezing cold.
Oh, we were in wrestling singlets, Seth, because we were paying off a bet.
Oh, were you both for the first night? Night one, you were okay.
No, our producer EJ and Maggie.
EJ Perloff was dressed as Rowdy Piper.
I had a kilt.
Proper. Well, kilt still freezing. It was cold. Night one was so cold. Night two is a lot better. But yeah, the crowd was amazing both nights.
You're in the ring with The Rock, who came back, and it was such a big deal. I know I'm taking us back a little bit, and I know we want to look forward, but did you feel like he could still do like a full schedule? Like, how did you find, wrestling against The Rock?
Yeah, I think you do. You get in there one time and you might think that you can do a full schedule, but I don't know that it's as easy as it looks. I think you get in there and you do one and you go, okay, I think I could do this, But he's smart enough to know that's not his day. His day of doing it full time has come and gone. Do I think he could get in there and do one more or a couple more? Absolutely. He was in prime condition. He was ready to go. He was a game opponent. And for a guy that hadn't done it in 10 years, that's really hard. It is like riding a bike, but it's not like one time. Like you need to get in there and get your reps in to get your kind of mind where it's at. He was an incredible performer that night. He was able to just kind of slip back into it. It was an honor for me to be in the ring with him. That's a guy who's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the legends of our business. He's on the board of directors now as well, so he's continuing to help that side of the business. But yeah, it was a fun ride, and getting to be in there and stomp the crap out of The Rock was a lot of fun.
Bucket list.
Not to put pressure on you, but Vegas, I mean, you got to be big. You got to bring it for Vegas. I think we were in Vegas last year. Do you feel like that's going to be a really special atmosphere?
I mean, it's going to be electric. It's going to be. I mean, the cool thing about Vegas, you go to Vegas, the intent is to let loose,
right?
And so,
it's like here in New Orleans,
exactly, right? Same type of vibe. And so, I think it's going to be an extremely special event because WrestleMania is the melting pot, right?
Yeah.
Everybody comes from all over the world to see this event for 2 nights in April. So. And we're always trying to, outdo ourselves. So WrestleMania 40 was the biggest WrestleMania of all time. WrestleMania 41, I think already. I don't want to give too much away, but it's looking like it's going to be even bigger.
Seth, last one for you. Sorry. Your wife, Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
So kind of a free agent right now, doing the mom thing. Can we expect her back at some point?
Yeah, I don't think she's seen her last time in a ring. It's not even the mom thing, really. She had some projects come up outside of professional wrestling that she wanted to do last year, and she was able to take the time to be able to do that, which is fantastic. She's got a couple things in the works. I think they've both been announced, so we can talk about them. She's doing like a Star Trek television show, which will be on Paramount Plus sometime in the next year or two. Wow. And then Happy Gilmore 2.
Yes.
Which is rad, right?
That's so cool.
So Happy, she's Irish, so she doesn't have like a dog in the fight when it comes to like 90s Adam Sandler movies. Yeah. But for me, Happy Gilmore was like up there. Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore were like 1-2 for me. So for her to get this role and to work with Adam and his crew and all of those people, I mean, it's really, really cool.
Wait, Perloff's been in like 4 Sandler movies.
Yeah. Four Sandler movies.
One speaking part. Yeah, my old boss.
Hustle. Reporter number 2.
Yeah, my old boss, Dan Patrick, has been in 23 of them. If you watch any movie, Dan shows up in a movie.
Whoa.
But you'll be proud of us. We did a tour of a gator farm this week.
Monday.
Nice.
On Monday. And I'm thinking of Happy Gilmore.
Of course.
Our guide only had one thumb on one hand.
Chubb style.
Much like Chubb style.
Yeah.
So we were willing to risk our hand. We were going to come out of there like Chubbs.
Get you a wooden hand.
Yeah.
So I don't know what role the wooden hand or Chubbs plays in Happy Gilmore 2, but when I was on set, I saw like a stage hand, like a guy like walking gingerly with the Chubbs hand.
No!
It's somehow involved.
Wow.
It was like a relic from the past. I don't know what they're doing with it. I have no idea. Maybe it was just there for good luck on set. It might not even make the movie. I have no clue. But I saw the Chubbs hand, and I was like,
What if, is that like the Stanley Cup? Can you not touch it?
You can't. You can't even look at it. Yeah, bad luck.
Belongs in the Smithsonian.
Exactly. It was beautiful. So she's awesome. I foresee her making a return to the ring at some point. Don't know when. But yeah, she was out working. She was Mommin is working too.
Oh.
Don't get me wrong. Mommin is working too.
Tell us about it.
But yeah, she was hustling, man. We spent a couple months on the road, New Jersey, Toronto, doing those shoots. So she's been working. So we'll see the fruits of that labor sometime soon. But she's the best, and she'll be back.
That's
fantastic.
Cool.
We love to hear that because she's one of our favorites, as are you. Seth Freakin Rollins, again, Saturday, March 1st, Elimination Chamber at the Rogers Center. Tickets available now at Ticketmaster, and then we go to WrestleMania, April 19th and 20th in Las Vegas. Thank you, Seth.
Thank you, guys.
All right, EJ, we got to get to Vegas, baby.
I know.
WrestleMania.
Birthday, too. My birthday's 21st, so it's the 2 days before.
Yeah, and it'd be so awesome if we got out to Vegas and we got to see, I don't know, Dave Matthews Band in the Sphere or something awesome like that, because I love going to concerts without Andrew Bogusch. It's one of my favorite things.
Thanks, jerks. Headlines.
Hey, Bogusch.
Yeah, great.
How about
I didn't know this
headlines?
mic was on.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know you were there. I didn't see you.
No, that's fine. That's how it normally goes. Headlines.
He'll tune you out now.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Yeah, we'll just wave and I'm done talking. Go about your business. Headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you could save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. It's the upset they can't get on the field. Josh Allen voted NFL MVP, with most assuming Lamar Jackson was going to win his third since he easily beat Allen for All-Pro honors. Allen thanked basically everybody in Bills Mafia except Maggie last night.
It takes everybody from the equipment staff to the training room to the strength staff to Slick Rick in the mailroom to the cafeteria upstairs. Like it truly takes everybody to have team success, and I'm so fortunate to be a part of a great organization.
Slick Rick in the mailroom and Marge in the calf got mentioned, but not Maggie Gray.
Not Maggie at 345.
Wait, so you're not talking about Rick the Ruler, right? The rapper? That's when I heard Slick Rick, I was like,
Benny the
once
Butcher
upon a
as well.
time, not long ago.
Yeah. No, Treadmill Maggie, not mentioned by Josh Allen, who got 27 first-place votes, 4 more than Lamar. Saquon Barkley settling for Offensive Player of the Year honors. Broncos corner Patrick Surtain Jr. won on the defensive side. And Jaguars D-lineman Eric Armstead won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award for his work off the field. Only 4 new Hall of Famers this year, the smallest class in 2 decades. Sterling Sharp, Jared Allen, Antonio Gates, and Eric Allen voted into Canton. Not Torrey Holt, not Eli Manning. LeBron James was the youngest to score 40 at 19 years and 88 days, and now he's the oldest.
One-on-one against Buddy Hield. LeBron three-pointer. Good! Huge three by LeBron, and that could do it. 115 to 106. LeBron has 42 points, 17 rebounds, and 7 assists.
All my damn respect, too.
John Ireland on Lakers radio. Bron added 1 more assist before the 120-112 win over the Warriors. LA's now won 4 straight, 10 of 12. But they're not the Blazers. 6 in a row, 10 of 11 for them after downing the Kings 108-102. The Mavs won in Boston, 127-120, and the T-Wolves rallied past the Rockets, 127-114. Anthony Edwards, 16 of his 41 in the fourth, and Indiana men's basketball coach Mike Woodson expected to step down after the season. The Hoosiers on the verge of missing their second straight NCAA tournament. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, in all reality, I have a new policy when you're doing your updates from Super Bowl Radio Row, because I only have so many outfits. You've almost made me spit out coffee twice.
Yep.
All right, so that is a compliment. When you said Hunter Dickinson had a triple-double in front of his grandkids at Kansas, I was telling another person about that line the other day. But, yeah, and if I say something nice about you, will you root for the Eagles?
You know what? I kind of am half rooting for them because I want Saquon Barkley to win.
Wow. Really?
You at least have that. I want good things for Saquon on Sunday. That's the most I can give you.
Manny, are you with us too? Are you getting on the Eagles train?
Not even a little bit. No. No, not even.
All right, we tried. All right, thanks, guys. All right, coming up, somebody who is so much cooler than me, and that's not a big accomplishment, but this might be the coolest person in all of New Orleans here for Super Bowl week, and that is Fred Warner, Niners linebacker, recently in the Super Bowl, has a lot of insight, and also just a great guy. That's coming up next, Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on the Maggie and Perloff show. We're here at Radio Row, New Orleans, Super Bowl. The town is getting really, really busy. A lot of green. I'm not going to lie. I assume there will be some red showing up. All right. We are lucky enough to talk to somebody who was in this game last year, of course, and that's Fred Warner, San Francisco 49ers linebacker, all-pro, one of the best in the game. All right, Fred, you're familiar with both of the teams in the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, how do you prepare for a guy like that?
Yeah, I mean, he's so unorthodox, everything about him. You know, you go throughout the week, you talk about him, and I've played him now several times, and obviously in both my Super Bowls. And I think the common theme is like you always talk about starting fast in a game. But with Patrick Mahomes and with these Chiefs, it's like, man, we got to finish fast. Like, it has nothing to do about the start because you see it all the time. Like, Patrick Mahomes, yeah, he's phenomenal, great quarterback. He'll give you opportunities to have interceptions, force a fumble on them because he's always trying to create, right? But it doesn't matter because he has such short-term memory where he's like, hey, man, I'll do it again. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he doesn't care. And those moments in the fourth quarter, it seems like he just always prevails by making that one or two those key plays in those moments to help his team win the game.
What do you mean by unorthodox? What's he do differently?
It's just because of the fact that, one, the scheme with Andy Reid, who is just a magician back there, drawing plays in the sand with what they got going. But then the way that he executes the plays with Travis Kelce, they might have something called, but they kind of have this connection between each other where it's like, all right, we had a corner route on, but I'm just going to run a post because there's space in there, and they have that connection to be able to deliver the ball. And Pat's so great at creating and getting out of the pocket, stepping in the pocket. He can make all the throws inside the pocket, or he can go outside and create and run the football, right? So it's like, man, don't hit him, but we want to hit him. Don't get too close to him. Like, he's going to slow down at the sideline, but don't hit him out of bounds. It's like so many things that are so draining to a defense throughout a game.
Fred Warner's joining us, the All-Pro, on behalf of Ascent Protein, which we'll get to. Now, listen, I think you're so talented, I think you could just admit this if it was true. Is there a boogeyman aspect to the Chiefs? Like, you think, they're going to come through? Is that a mental hurdle you guys have to get past?
To be honest, there is a mental part of it. I'm not going to lie, because at the end of the day, there's something to be said after talking with guys who have been there and won the big game. There's something to be said about having done it before, knowing the recipe to winning that game. And these guys have obviously done it several times now where they know in those moments where, all right, it's crunch time, we have to make the play, we know what it takes. They know they have that recipe, right? And so they're able to deliver. And so as a team that hasn't done it before, hasn't surpassed that, and has to overcome a team that does have that recipe, you have to be so good and so locked in for 4 quarters, maybe even 5 quarters, because we went to overtime and we still couldn't get it done, right? So you have to be so locked in for so long. And do you have that mental stamina for an entire game?
How about on the other side of the ball, the Philadelphia Eagles? As a linebacker, what's it like to face a Saquon Barkley when Saquon is as hot as he is right now?
Saquon has always been phenomenal. Like, yes, he's had just an extraordinary year this year being with Philly. He came in my draft class as a phenom coming out of Penn State, but I think what makes him so dangerous now is being in this system where you have Jalen Hurts, you have him running the zone read RPO, because now you have to not only worry about Saquon, you got to worry about Jalen. You see him pull the ball down and run it for a 40-yard touchdown. It's like, whoa, what the heck? I didn't know Jalen had those wheels on him still. and then he might even pull it and then throw it to A.J. Brown on a slant if you're coming down so worried about on Saquon. He catches a slant for 80 yards in a touchdown. So they have all these levels to their offense that makes them so dangerous. But Saquon, I feel like every week everybody talks about let's stop the run, and they just can't do it.
If we wanted to, we could do a radio show where we come on in the morning and say, Kyle Shanahan, call us at 855-212-4227, and that could be the show 4 hours a day. What do we not understand from the outside about Kyle in the biggest moments? Like, what do the public, what do we not see?
I mean, you guys don't see every single day when he's having to talk to us in a team meeting, right? I think his leadership style is he's just brutally honest in the best way possible, which the players are so, like, they just resonate with. When a guy is so real, there's a lot of coaches in this league who I haven't obviously been a part of because I've only been a part of the best in the game, but who just kind of get up there and they say what they think that you want to hear. And Kyle, he keeps it black and white, and devises the best game plan every week to give us the best chance to win the game. And ultimately, as players, it's our job to go out, execute, and make enough plays to win the game, right? And coaching is so important, but at the end of the day, it's always going to be players on the field who are winning and losing games.
How about Robert Saleh returning? Obviously, you have a great bond with him. What makes Robert Saleh sort of different as a defensive coach?
I think an amazing teacher. I know he had a long journey of climbing the ranks to become a defensive coordinator. But when he came in 2017 with the 49ers and then ultimately drafted me, a young buck in 2018, who had never played Mike linebacker, never played stack off the ball backer, and was like, you know what, I'm going to give you the green dot to call the plays and get them lined up. And I'm like, looking back, I'm like, dude, how did you even do that? How did you have the confidence to give me that responsibility? But he saw something in me from early on, I guess, and it turned out okay. I'm so happy to have him back, man, because obviously we have that bond, that connection, and it's so great to have him back.
Obviously, you play a physical sport and one of the most physical positions in that sport. So working with Ascent Protein, why did that speak to you?
Yeah, for forever, I've been searching for the perfect protein powder, and I was like, man, I feel like it almost feels like I'm having to go through like 1,000 of them before I finally hit a cent. I'm like, there's no way, that I found it. But ultimately, I'm always looking for not only just the performance side of it to be able to perform at a high level, but the taste. Everybody wants to have good tasting protein powder or supplements that you're using, and for them, their chocolate whey protein just spoke to me. It was perfect for me. And as a professional athlete, you're also always worrying about, okay, is there no banned substances and that sort of thing. The third-party pet testing that they do takes care of all of that, so no worries there. And I've seen my game just kind of take it to the next level since using them.
Fred, obviously this was a tough season for you guys, so you want to turn the page from that. And it was off the field stuff too and on the field.
Yeah.
It just kind of felt like things were not aligning for the 49ers. Now you go into next season, clean slate, turn the page. You still have this Brock Purdy issue. You've seen contract stuff kind of linger for this team. Feels like it does. How important is it for the team to just make the decision whatever way and kind of get it done early?
Yeah, no, I would love for them to get it done early, and I don't think any offseason they go into it thinking like, let's drag this out, right? I mean, that's just the business side of it, and it's something that both sides have to kind of take care of, and as players who are not involved in it, we got to just prepare and make sure that we're ready to go to welcome it with open arms when they do get it done. But yeah, of course they want to get it done as soon as possible, and hopefully that's the case this offseason.
Do you think Brock Purdy should get paid amongst top quarterbacks?
1,000%. 1,000%. And I'm not saying it as a biased teammate of his. I'm saying it as a guy who knows ball, who's seen it up close and personal and wants a guy at that position who's going to give you a chance to win a Super Bowl. And I know Brock Purdy's that guy.
Fred Warner, on behalf of Ascent Protein, the 4-time All-Pro and Pro Bowler, of course, and star for the 49ers. Thank you so much. Great to meet you.
You got it. Thank you, guys.
One of my favorite things to do during Super Bowl week on Media Row is to talk to guys when they're promoting some kind of protein powder and they're like 3 times the size of me and way more ripped, and be like, all right, how much protein powder do I need to bench press 375 pounds? And their awkward look on their face, because they have to promote the product and say it works, but they know that I can never bench 375 pounds. Although I got to tell you, I famously, as part of Dan Patrick's show, did bench 225 multiple times.
That's impressive.
I used to be able to get some weight up. Now I'm sort of a skinny nerd, but back in the day I was a slightly less skinny nerd. What's your max, EJ?
Oh my gosh, I haven't bench pressed in forever. I wouldn't even know.
Yeah,
it's probably the mid hundreds, maybe 200, maybe.
Manny, what can you throw up there?
I'm benching at about 115 right now.
See, this is
I'm probably a little. Yeah, I don't think they 180 give me a break. Yeah, I'm probably 115.
What do you mean you're benching 150? Like you're maxing out at 115 pounds?
I just started working out, Perloff. I have no upper body strength. I have the upper body strength of a 10-year-old.
Oh, my God. See, this is what happens. Maggie, unfortunately, is feeling ill today. When she's gone, it just becomes locker room talk.
Yep.
What do you bench? Maggie would be rolling her eyes so hard, but she's doing great. We were really lucky. One of her friends hooked us up with Chris Stapleton concert tickets last night. It was a little late for our early wake-up call, so just caught a taste of it. But he is really popular. Man, and he's so good. EJ, I know you didn't get to stay for it, but he totally commands the mic. Even if you don't like country, like there's something about him.
And by the way, star-studded event, too. I walked in, Emmitt Smith was walking the red carpet. We saw your guy, Peter Schrager, there.
Oh, the whole Fox team was there. Aaron Andrews was there.
Aaron Andrews.
Diana Rossini was right behind me.
Yeah, I think I saw, there's a bunch of people.
Yeah, Teddy Bruschi.
Jamie Ertl, I think, may have been there, too. Yeah, it was a squad out there.
Yeah. Any parties you want to go to? Is there anything you've heard about people you want to see?
Well, apparently last night was the Michael Irvin party. Like my homie, shout out to Michael. He was like, the Michael Irvin party's tonight.
Oh, boy.
And I was like, you want to talk about guys getting in? We talked yesterday, Maggie was like, did anybody get in trouble off during Super Bowl week? That might have been the beginning of that.
It's one thing to be it's one thing to be sick. It's another to go to the Michael Irvin party, because you might not get out of prison for a month or go to that thing.
Get your defense lawyer on speed dial.
You know what? Whatever, Manny. One thing, tonight's a Shaq Funhouse party, which is one of the more recent, go-to institutional.
I want to get to that.
I went to it last year. And
was that the Post Malone thing?
No, that was Shaq. It was Shaq performing. God, then Snoop Dogg came on after him, and there was another big star. Maybe J. Cole was there. Somebody, but because basically I was too close to.
That was Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne was there.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was. Were you at that concert?
No, but I saw the flyers and I got invited. I didn't get to
I was a little too close to the stage because I had VIP, and I was like, I do not fit. Because Shaq was performing, and basically I was by far the oldest person there, by far the worst dancer in the front row of the concert.
Well, to be honest, you probably listened to Shaq's music when he was making music regularly, so you actually fit in.
I did not listen to Shaq's music.
No, I mean by osmosis. I'm not saying you actually bought an album. I'm saying like they probably were playing it in a Walmart or something.
No, I was
playing it or inside
Walmart?
I don't know, like whatever, the NBA or NBC maybe played a little clip.
No, I mean I was only listening to Kobe Bryant's rap records. No, God.
Oh, wow.
None of those albums were, and by the way, Shaq is a good DJ. I don't know that he could rap, but
No, he's not a very good rapper, but he's sold very well. He's a multi-platinum album.
No,
Yeah.
I ain't said so. I'm gonna knock your ass out.
I actually the other night watched a documentary on HBO about Shaq, and I forgot that he played in Phoenix at the end. So
The
now
Shaq
his
this era.
NBA trade deadline, it was kind of sad. I hate to say it, these Jimmy Butler, KD, like it's gonna be kind of.
No, this was a great NBA trade deadline. You got the
No,
one
I
of the
know, but
greatest
some of
trades
these
ever.
some of
Luka
these old guys like were expecting like Jimmy Butler to have another run,
Yeah.
or they were expecting maybe KD to have another run. It doesn't usually end well. That's
Yeah.
a reality.
No, that's true.
I mean, not everyone's Tom Brady or LeBron James. All right, but we got to focus on the big game, and we're here in New Orleans, and that means only one guy, Super Bowl champion, Drew Brees, who is Mr. New Orleans. Going to break down the game. He has, I think, really interesting insight into what the Eagles and the Chiefs want to do. That's next, M&P.
Supposed to be 1, 2, 3, not 1, 2, back to 1.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, welcome back in, Maggie and Perloff show from Radio Row in New Orleans. Super Bowl, it is almost here. Maggie's out today, living a little too hard here in New Orleans. No, unfortunately, she got sick, probably from being at an unlicensed gator farm earlier in the week or eating 100 crawfish. I don't even know. There's 1,000 ways she could have gotten sick. But obviously maybe celebrating Josh Allen's MVP a little too much. You know, it's interesting. Yesterday, we're here at Radio Row. Earlier in the week, we had Peter King tell us that he didn't think Eli Manning would get into the Hall of Fame. And then yesterday, I don't know if it was actually done, but there was a lot of buzz that Eli didn't make it. Earlier in the day before they announced it. So they announced it at Honors, and it turns out Eli Manning did not make the Hall of Fame on his first ballot. He, to me, is one of the most polarizing Hall of Fame candidates ever. For a couple reasons. He won 2 Super Bowls, but the rest of his career was mediocre. Not mediocre, was medium. And people think that maybe there's a New York bias, that if he was a quarterback somewhere else, he wouldn't even be considered. And a last name bias, because he's a Manning.
Right.
And also his post-career has been incredible. He was here the other day. He is a great personality, so funny on TV. He's a great foil to Peyton. I still think, actually, on football, he should have gotten into the Hall of Fame this time. Eric Allen is a former Philadelphia Eagle, cornerback, former Jet as well. He was a great player. He did not impact the game of football like Eli Manning. And I'm an Eagles fan, and I have no problem saying that. Jared Allen, the pass rusher from the Vikings and the Chiefs, great player. Did not impact the game of football like Eli Manning. Antonio Gates, there's nothing. As long as you don't have a problem with his PED, you can't argue against him. And Sterling Sharp, who was an amazing receiver back with the Packers, career cut a little short. I'm okay with him. I'm okay with all these guys. But Eli is just as much a Hall of Famer as Sterling Sharp, as Eric Allen, as Jared Allen. You know it. And Hall of Fame, it's one of those things. Don't break down the numbers. I mean, Eli is top 10 all-time in passing yards. You know it when you see it. And I'm sorry. I would have voted yes for Eli Manning. EJ?
If Eli got in, I would have been fine. But Eli's not better than any of those players you named. Just being real.
Eli's not better than Eric Allen?
No. Eric Allen's a 6-time Pro Bowler. He was All-Pro at one season, second-team All-Pro another season. Eric Allen.
What did he win? What did he win?
He's a DB. He doesn't control Randall Cunningham getting hurt or Buddy Ryan.
He does control third down and 8. Michael Irvin, 90s Cowboys.
Oh my gosh. So he's the reason why the Dallas Cowboys won Super Bowls. Is Eric Allen's fault? You're doing that now?
No, but you said it perfectly. He's a cornerback. So he can't impact the game like a quarterback. And therefore, quarterbacks should get all the advantages for the Hall of Fame.
No, that is where I put my foot down a little bit. Like, this cannot be the Hall of Fame of quarterbacks.
Why?
It's the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Like, yes, I love the Malik Wright quote, everybody knows the quarterback. I think it's a quote to live by. If you don't know anything about football, you know the quarterback of your city. But this is about celebrating everything that involves football. That includes coaches. That includes front office people. That includes other positions besides quarterback. It shouldn't be, all right, every quarterback that comes up, you go to the front of the line, and guys like Eric Allen who've been waiting for 10, 15 years, Sterling Sharp waiting 20 years, you go to the back of the line because we got to get a guy with a 500 overall record into the Super Bowl and into the Hall of Fame. Now, Eli, I have no problem him being in the Hall of Fame, but he's going to get there. It's fine. It's okay that he didn't make it in his first year. I personally think that the first ballot thing, I'm against first ballot anything. I would vote for whoever I think is a Hall of Famer. You would always get first ballot.
Wait, you were so mad when Ichiro didn't get in, though. That was a week ago.
Yeah, because
didn't get in unanimously.
Right, unanimously. Because fundamentally, it's stupid to look at a ballot when they ask you who's a Hall of Famer and not write Ichiro. So, yes, I think if you saw a ballot and you didn't put Eli Manning, you probably should have, in my opinion. But that's not as, obviously, it's a little more controversial than that. But my point, though, is these guys have been waiting a long time. Like, at what point, like, are they going to get in? Like, you got to wait another year. Then next year, you're going, all right, well, Phil Rivers, even though he didn't win a Super Bowl, I mean, he was a great quarterback. All right, you go in ahead of these other defensive players who didn't win championships. Like, where does the line begin?
By the way, Eli fell out of the top 10. I apologize. Guess who just passed him?
I'm looking at your list.
Matthew Stafford passed Eli Manning on the all-time. So Eli Manning is now 11th, and he's at he's at 57,000 yards. Russell Wilson is the next guy that could catch him at 46,000. Then Joe Flacco. I don't think Flacco's going to do it. So Eli has the gaudy numbers. Yeah. Jim Plunkett, the other two-time Super Bowl winner quarterback who did not get in, had really pedestrian numbers. Different era. Yeah. He probably deserves it too. But Eli played a lot longer. He had the consecutive streak. You're right, he'll get in. I think I've had two unpopular takes today that Eli should have been first ballot and that you shouldn't name an NFL MVP until the season is over. But enough of that. Let's talk to a guy who there is no doubt, there is nobody who would ever say this person was not a Hall of Famer, because here, the city we're in New Orleans, he's not just a Hall of Famer, he's kind of a god. Of course, that is Drew Brees, former Saints quarterback. All right, we do this thing, the great debate. Maggie picked the onside kick in the Super Bowl by Sean Payton, the Saints, in our great debate this week as the most stunning Super Bowl moment. Drew, does this week bring back all those memories?
Yeah, it does. In fact, we just celebrated the 15-year anniversary of our Super Bowl victory. So brought back a lot of great memories, and that was a special team. It was a special season. And I think, whenever the Super Bowl week comes around, too, you start thinking about the preparation and just kind of what you were thinking during that week. We were down in Miami for that one, going up against Peyton Manning and the Colts, which seemed like this kind of like indomitable force on the other side, right? That it was like, man, I don't know how we're going to beat these guys. We're going to have to steal a possession. I remember, very early in that week of preparation, Sean said, hey, we're going to kick an onside kick. We're going to nickname it ambush. So we had this, this term for it. And he's like, it's not a matter of if, it is when. We are going to do it. So in a lot of ways, it just created this level of confidence and this sense of urgency. Hey, guys, we are going to pull out all the stops. Man, we're going to leave nothing to chance. We need to steal a possession. But you create the vision for what was going to happen and what we need to do to execute it. And it's amazing just the amount of confidence that gives you.
Yeah, I remember that game coming in, Peyton Manning and everything he was doing. It kind of feels like the Chiefs now. Just something about them that's impossible to beat. Do you think that the Eagles are going to try and have that same attitude, we got to try something? But the Eagles also feel confident in a way too.
I think the Eagles deep down feel like they're a better team.
Really?
And so for them, I don't think they're necessarily thinking we have to take chances to win this game. Like an onside kick to steal a possession or what have you. I think for them it's more, as I think about the process on offense, and I'm staring at this huge banner of Jalen Hurts right now, so it's what am I thinking about Jalen Hurts? I know this. If I'm playing a guy like Patrick Mahomes, every opportunity that guy has to have the ball, that's not a good thing for us, right? So if I'm just playing the probability game, If Patrick Mahomes normally gets 11 possessions in an NFL game, I'm going to try to make him only get 8 possessions. Well, how do I do that? Man, I need to sustain drives. Like, we're going to run the football. And it's a great thing I got Saquon Barkley right here, who's had this phenomenal season. But honestly, like, me as the quarterback, Jalen Hurts, I'm a big component to the run game. Like, I'm a run threat every time we're doing this little RPO stuff, right? And so, man, we're just going to methodically move the ball down the field, stay ahead of the chains, because if we get in a 3rd and long, like, we got no chance against the Steve Spagnuolo, exotic pressure team. But, man, we're just going to pound it, go down, score points, and guess what? All of a sudden, we just ran 9 minutes off the clock and prevented the best player in the world from getting on the field to try to beat us on the other side. So, like, that's the game to me that Philly needs to play. Possess the ball, run the ball, get points at the end, right? Keep the best player in the world off the field, and that's going to be their best chance to win this game. If Philly is able to execute this game plan of running the football, first off, it's the only way to beat the Chiefs. Second off, I really think it's where the Chiefs are vulnerable on defense, is if you can just pound them in the run game like that. Because if you can't get into a game where you allow them to, unwrap their exotic pressure stuff, right? Like, you see it at the end of every game where that defense has stepped up in many situations throughout this year. I literally went back and looked at it. It was like 7 times where the Chiefs defense did something at the end of the game where they either stopped somebody from going down and kicking a field goal or scoring a touchdown to win, or they got the ball back to their offense so their offense could go down and win the game. So, like, this Chiefs defense has not gotten enough credit, but where they are, I think, vulnerable and susceptible is if you can just pound them in the run game and wear them down.
Drew Brees, a Super Bowl champion, a Super Bowl MVP. He's here on behalf of Aldi, which we'll get to because obviously eating is so much a part of the Super Bowl for us fans.
That's right.
It's funny, we talk a lot, obviously, about quarterbacks and your era, which was, I think, a golden era of quarterbacks. And you played for so long, Drew, you kind of spanned different eras. But Brady, Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, Peyton Manning, obviously, who you beat in a Super Bowl, versus now Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, what Justin Herbert might be, with that talent, maybe Trevor Lawrence. I mean, like, can you even compare one of your eras to what we're seeing right now in terms of quarterbacks?
Yeah, time will tell, right? Because there's a longevity component to, I think, our generation of guys that played, all the guys that you mentioned from our generation played 15-plus years, right?
Yeah. I didn't mention Aaron Rodgers, who's playing still.
But so many of these guys now, are only in year 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, And yet what you're seeing is, it's unprecedented, obviously, what Mahomes is doing. But, man, I loved watching Josh Allen this year. Lamar Jackson the last 4 years has just been, it's hard to even fathom Lamar Jackson because so many of us just don't even have close to that level of talent or ability, right? So you see what he does and it's like, I don't even know how to compare myself to that, right? like he's unbelievable. So, but it's a fun time to be an NFL fan, with all this talent.
Drew Brees, the future Hall of Famer, the Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP on behalf of Aldi, and obviously, food and the Super Bowl goes hand in hand. Yeah. Right now, Aldi through February 9th, fans can get up to 25% off Super Bowl food essentials, including wings, pizza, spinach dip. Like, what's on your menu for Super Bowl Sunday, Drew?
Well, I just made gumbo a couple days ago for the boys, and they loved it. So I'm still I still got to master the roux, which is kind of like that base component to a good gumbo. But otherwise, it's just like, man, what is in the fridge? They wanted chicken and andouille, so that's what we went with. But I'm a duck and andouille gumbo guy. That's probably my favorite. Okay. Chili, because my Texas roots, right? So I'll go deer meat chili or venison chili, but buffalo chili, you name it. So I'm a big chili guy. So all these things, this is that's where Aldi comes into play.
Real fast, I know you got to get out of here. You were involved in the coaching search with the Saints. You are involved. I know you'd said publicly you wanted Aaron Glenn. He goes to the Jets. Drew, what's going on with the coaching search right now?
No, look, I wasn't formally involved with the coaching search, because obviously
you're
I don't
a legendary player.
But
They should ask you.
I always have a vested interest. I still consider it my team. Even though I don't play for the Saints anymore. But I have such strong relationships in that building, and I'm always there to lend support and certainly know that my presence is felt. So we'll see how it plays out. I've been asked about Kellen Moore a bunch today, Obviously, he's had a ton of success wherever he's gone, and here he is maybe about to be a Super Bowl champ as the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. But, no, I think our team is in a good position from the perspective. I still think we have this core. We've got a core group of leaders. We've got great culture and foundation. Man, we were decimated by injury this year.
Yep.
Offensively especially. First 2 games, I think we all saw what the Saints are capable of, right? With everyone healthy, and defensively they still play at a high level. So just shore up some of those areas that you feel like you need to build some depth, and let's see what happens.
Drew, thank you so much for your time, being generous with it on behalf of Aldi, and we appreciate it. Enjoy the game.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, the Maggie and Perloff show on Super Bowl Radio Row is sponsored by Tide Pods. Turn to cold water washing with Tide Pods. When you switch from hot to cold, you could save up to $150 a year on your energy bill. Plus, Tide cleans great in cold. Maggie's a big cold wash person, and she's kind of convinced me to do that as well. Drew Brees, by the way, looks totally in amazing shape. I feel like he could either be the quarterback for the Saints or coach the Saints.
Yep.
Mr. New Orleans. And that team, if you weren't an NFL fan at the time, the impact of that Super Bowl is unprecedented because they were still coming off Katrina in many ways, and it really rallied the city. I get that vibe in New Orleans now. The city seems very unified after the terrorist attack on Bourbon Street. A lot of security here, but it's an incredible sort of galvanizing in the city, and everybody's in a good mood, despite everyone not wanting to see the Chiefs here, apparently. I don't really mind it as much as the public, but it is totally awesome. All right, coming up, we have a guest. Might be the most surprising interview we've ever had. A coach that I don't know that if anyone really was a fan of. You will be after this interview. That's next, Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. The theme of the week, of course, is Chiefs fatigue. A lot of people do not want to see them three-peat for simple reason. I guess they don't like greatness. I don't want to see them three-peat because I'm an Eagles fan. We've talked to actually a few former Patriots this week who know that feeling all too well, and one of them is former Patriots defensive assistant, former NFL head coach, one of the smartest coaches in NFL history, actually, and that's Matt Patricia. Matt, how does one build a dynasty? Give us a secret recipe.
Yeah, there's a lot up here. There's certainly, you know, I don't know if we have that much time.
Yeah.
But,
well, we won't understand what you're saying anyway.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's fun to be down here and, you know, see the Super Bowl really from the other side. You know, when we're down here trying to prepare and get ready to play, you're kind of like behind the house. You know, you're running, preparing. It's great to see the fans and the excitement, the city, the energy, all that. It's pretty cool.
Not everybody understands how Nick Sirianni has done this well, but the winning percentage is undeniable. 70%. It's in the top 10 all-time in NFL history. How do you describe Nick Sirianni's coaching style?
Yeah, I love Nick Sirianni. I mean, he's one of the greatest guys. He's a great coach. He's a great leader. He connects with the players. It's really fascinating to go and be able to have that year and sit there and learn from him and watch him build the relationships with the guys on the team and how he motivates them. And look, you learn and you know Nick right away. You know, he's an Italian guy, so right away we're connected, and he and I are, you know, we understand each other. But it was phenomenal for me just to watch that style and his ability to lead, you know, that team and handle everything that you have to handle as a head coach. You know, there's no handbook on this. You know, there's nobody that's, you know, going to be able to say, hey, this is how you do this or this is how you do that. So you're trying to figure it out as you go along.
We're talking with Matt Patricia, 15 seasons with New England, head coach of the Detroit Lions, and you were with Philly last year, three-time Super Bowl champion as an assistant as well. You know, the three-peat. I mean, the Patriots, man, you guys tried.
We did.
Tried. What is the hardest thing about it, and what the Chiefs are about to do? Do you think you start looking over your shoulder like, man, this dynasty may be on par with ours?
Yeah. You know, there's a lot to evaluate and a lot to talk about, I think, with what's going on with both the Chiefs and Philadelphia. Certainly Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, the coaching staff, Spags, all those guys at Kansas City, Travis Kelce. I mean, they're the greatest of greats as far as what they do in their jobs, you know. So it's hard to go against them, you know. And honestly, you know, I learned this you know, I really learned it in the 07 season, to be honest with you, our undefeated run where, you know, you got the people that are rooting for you and the people that are rooting against you. And that's great. I love the fans and I love the passion. But my take on all that is I want to see stuff that's never been done before. You know, I want to see history because I want my kids to see it. So if I sit there with my boys and we're watching a game and I watch Saquon Barkley do a reverse leapfrog over I'm like, you'll never see that again. That'll never happen again. So if they get a three-peat, I think it's unbelievable. I think that's amazing history for everyone to see and watch and to be a part of. It's really tough, man. It's really hard to be able to sustain that. When I look at Philly, it's a lot of the same. Philly went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Last year didn't finish the way they wanted it to, and then, they're back in the Super Bowl this year. We had a same run from 14 to 15 to 16, at New England. 14 we win, 15 kind of the end of the year wasn't. You saw the team was just getting worn out.
Yep.
It just didn't have that juice in the second half of the year. We kind of skipped into the playoffs and didn't go the way we wanted to, and then the next year came back and went back and won. So they're long seasons. The seasons are really long. You're doing a lot of travel. I mean, remember Philly started they started overseas. They started in Brazil. So think of the travel that they've had in Kansas City, every single week being in those one game, nail biters situations. It's great. You love all of it.
As far as like the boogeyman aspect that the Patriots and you being an assistant there for 15 years and winning 3 Super Bowls, like the boogeyman aspect where, and I heard you say this to Julian Edelman, you felt like you had teams beat before you walked into the stadium. I feel like the Chiefs have a little bit of that. Like, what does that feel like from the winner's side when did you know, like, the mental edge, and how important that was?
Yeah, you nailed it.
Even in the biggest games?
You nailed it, yeah. And I think Kansas City has that. And I think that's why they've been able to kind of, squeak out some of these wins. Kansas City's winning in a different way than I would say normal people look at the game and say, all right, well, turnover ratio, this, that, this is how you win. Kansas City's winning a little bit differently, and we had that too. There was so much mystique, around our place. Not a lot came out of our building, designed. It was very tight-lipped.
A couple Gronk cruises, but that's all.
It was very, very, very tight-lipped. But we always felt that there would be at one point in the game, you knew the opponent there was always that little bit of doubt. Now, we knew we were going to get their best, for sure. Every single week, we were going to be the standard that they were going to measure themselves against. So there was a little bit of doubt. And once you recognized in the game, there it is. All right, they're questioning if they're going to win this. Then you would see our guys go, and they would attack. And, a lot of times it'd be a look, and our leaders were phenomenal. Tommy, he'd walk by the defensive crew when I was coaching the linebackers, my old heads, Teddy Bruschi, Mike Vrabel, Jr. Seth, like those guys, Willie McGinnis, and he would have a look, and, you'd see our guys, they'd button up a little bit tighter, and you get that little focus, like, this is the moment we're about to take over the game and win. It was pretty cool to watch as a coach to see our players. The game's about the players. To watch the players do that was pretty amazing.
Just a few more minutes here with Matt Patricia. Won 3 Super Bowls as an assistant coach with the New England Patriots. 15 seasons there. Has now got the coach show. Him, Bill Belichick, Michael Lombardi. Now the Brain Trust down at North Carolina in Chapel Hill. I'm just kind of curious about this because it's going to be on everyone's mind. You get to talk to somebody who's a Belichick assistant. You did get a head coaching opportunity. Probably didn't go the way you wanted it to. But the idea about the Belichick assistants never being able to win Super Bowls as head coach, like Andy Reid assistants like Doug Peterson have gone on to win. Like, is there something? Was Bill keeping stuff from you guys? Was he siloing you off? I mean, is there an explanation for that?
Yeah, I think if there was an explanation, I think all of us that have those opportunities would probably try to get it right. I think I think all of us are just trying to win. All the situations are different. You take opportunities you think you're going to have, that's your shot to go try to get it right. They're very difficult opportunities. That's why there's an opening in those buildings. And unfortunately, a lot of us joined that long list of distinguished coaches that have been fired in the NFL. Romeo Purnell said it to me the best. He's like, welcome to the club. You're in the fraternity now. And look, there's no handbook to being a head coach. There's no one that's going to, tell you what to do with it. And the best way to learn to be a head coach is to be a head coach. And then when you have that growth mindset, you really go back and you take a look at, hey, what did I do well? And where did I mess up? And really do that self-evaluation. The growth is unbelievable. And I think that's where, look, Pete Carroll was a 2-time head coach before, he got to where he was. And Coach Belichick was the same. There's a lot of coaches that have had those opportunities. Andy Reid was at Philadelphia, never won, and now is at Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, and he's winning. So there's a lot that goes into it. I think what you can control when you're in that situation is what did I learn and how can I, get better and how can I grow? And, that's what you do. You take those experiences and you just try to become the better version of yourself.
Matt, last one from me, because you won 3 Super Bowls with the Patriots and you were part of this dynasty and a big part of it. What is the game you're most proud of as a defensive coach?
That's a great
question. Or just overall?
That's a great question. I appreciate that question a lot. I always say, obviously, the Super Bowls are they're unbelievable, right? And they're like your kids. Like, you love all of them the same, so you never pick. You know, they're exciting, they're fun. I think you go through different phases with them. I think, you know, your first Super Bowl, you're just so kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. And you feel a lot of joy and happiness for yourself and the team, you know, to watch the players achieve what they've achieved. You're really focused on the team. If you're lucky and blessed enough to go to another one and win, my second one, I remember really it was all about my family. You know, the sacrifices that like your mom and dad make for you to like drop you off at practice and like buy you new cleats and just all the things that, you know, they have to do and go through, or, you know, you're not home with your wife and your kids for holidays. Like, you know, I joke all the time, I have 2 holidays when I'm a football coach. It's 4th of July because I know I'm going to have that one off, and daylight savings because that extra hour is like gold. You know, like I need that. The rest of the holidays, hey, I'm probably not going to be there. So you really just want to celebrate with your family and your kids and, you know, your wife who sacrifices everything. My wife is amazing. She, you know, is my rock and the only reason I can do all this. So being able to share that and see the joy that they feel, that happens. And then if you're lucky enough to go to another and have another win, it's really about the guys that have never been there before and have never experienced it. And you want that for them so bad, the players and the coaches. And, you know, I really remember the faces of, you know, we won, you know, the third one, and you're seeing like a new coach or a new player win it for the first time, and you're just so happy, the joy, the tears, like everything that goes into that. So the Super Bowls are pretty, you know, it's got to be obviously the top of the list.
Well, Matt, you know, continued success with the Coach Show with Belichick and Lombardi. I mean, Bill's become like this media personality. Could have never seen that coming.
That's great.
We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it so much.
All right, if you were watching on YouTube or Twitch, we promised that was Matt Patricia. He looks way different right now than when he did with the Lions coach. We had sort of an unruly beard. And also, EJ, what did you say about him?
He is one of the nicest people I feel like we've had in studio or here at Radio Row. I mean, I know for a fact I have ripped Matt Patricia so often on the show, and now I feel bad. I really feel like, wow, that was uncalled for. He's the nicest man.
EJ's a bad guy.
Yeah, I think it's the whole Belichick thing. We assume, we don't know Josh McDaniels, and we assume like he's a tough guy just because Bill Belichick is. And everyone says Bill Belichick is different off the big stage when he's on a press conference. Who knows? But Matt Patricia, first of all, and that guy is really, really smart on football. That is very clear. All right. Let's go to someone who's not as smart on football.
Oh, come on.
Oh, wow.
I was like, is he going to say it? Is he going to make this transition? And I was like, yep, he did it.
What a segue.
Well, at least we know it is Andrew Bogusch because it's not Quinn Ewers, who is Andrew Bogusch's lookalike. Hey, that's not it. By the way, that's not an insult. Like,
no,
that's
that one I'll take.
Yeah, you look exactly like Quinn Ewers. Maggie didn't see it as much as I do. I can't unsee it. You are a doppelganger.
Speaking of Maggie, did she see you in running shorts like Jalen Carter? Is that why she's on here today?
It's the Perloff flu. We thought it was something else.
The Pearl flu.
I got to be honest. If Spencer Rattler comes down with something tomorrow, same thing.
Oh, no.
I basically went to see some friends at a hospitality suite from Panini, the card company, and I was wearing shorts because I was going to run home from the event. That's how informal I am. I swear to God. Wow. I'm wearing my running outfit, and I stopped in because I thought it was no more celebrities were going to be there, and I walk in, and I'm like, oh, okay. He's got red hair. Oh, yeah, that's Spencer Rattler. He looks at me like those are the palest, weakest legs.
And he fainted.
And so he will probably not be making his media appearances today.
Yeah, newsflash. Spencer Rattler out for the season next year.
Yeah, he's on the Saints non-football injury list right now.
I got to be honest. I was so happy that it's warm here, but not too warm, like mid-80s, so I wouldn't be forced to wear shorts in front of everybody here.
Shorts are coming out as soon as we're done here. For me.
Yeah, EJ's wearing shorts, but it's like 73, so I don't have to wear shorts, and I can stop making people sick. All right, why don't you cheer us up with some headlines, Bogusch?
The headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with our easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. Young Manny probably doesn't know who Sterling Sharp is, but he was one of the best receivers of the early 90s, and now he's a Hall of Famer, joining his brother Shannon in Canton.
I didn't know how to feel. It's not like Christmas. You know, Christmas, you have an expectation of, I'm going to get a bike, or I'm going to get a skateboard, or I'm going to get something. There was no expectation, so the feeling that I got I really can't explain because I never thought I'd be here.
The unrelated Jaron and Eric Allen plus Antonio Gates will be enshrined this summer. It's the smallest.
Yeah. Go ahead, Bogusch.
It's the smallest Hall of Fame class since 2005, unveiled at NFL Honors last night. That's where Josh Allen was a surprise winner of MVP. Minnesota's Kevin O'Connell is the Coach of the Year. Joe Burrow won Comeback Player of the Year. And Jaden Daniels, unsurprisingly, the Offensive Rookie of the Year.
The Commanders. So Sterling Sharp compared getting to the Hall of Fame to getting a skateboard at Christmas. I don't think that analogy worked at all.
He said it wasn't Christmas because
Right.
you kind of know what's on your list, obviously, so you kind of have an idea of what Santa might drop off. But he was also a senior committee nominee, so he didn't survive the regular process. So I guess he's saying, I wasn't planning on being here. I didn't think I was going to get here, so I didn't have any expectations for what my feelings were going to be.
Backstory, he, I believe, did not talk to the press for a large majority of his playing career, which is funny because he immediately went. He was an early media superstar who would not stop talking, and it's really, really entertaining. Now you see his brother is the media star, Shannon Sharp, but I think it was a little bit of TO that kept him out. I think he rubbed some.
Gotcha.
He wasn't mean. I think he was reclusive as a player, and the Hall of Fame is a popularity contest. Like if you're nice to reporters, that's a big deal. I'm sorry to say that.
I know, and that's a shame because this guy was a baller. I mean, I look at his numbers. I mean, these are receiving numbers in like the early 90s, late 80s, 1,400 yards, 1,400 yards, 1,200 yards, multiple times 100 catches, 3 All-Pros in just 7 seasons. I mean, he was a dog. Like, it's a shame that he didn't get it, but you're right. It could have been because of other stuff.
He might have been just as good or better than his brother.
My dad always says he was. My dad is like very steadfast on that.
His brother was a tight end. That did differentiate him.
Yeah, I think playing only 7 seasons hurt him too, I think, in the normal process.
Wait, there's a Sterling Sharp?
Oh my
Good to see you, Manny. Read a book.
No, I don't know how to.
Is there a book about Sterling Sharp out there?
There's an NFL book somewhere about Sterling that he's in, I'm sure. A Packers history book. Watch NFL films. How about that? Perloff's probably in it, telling you how great he was.
Yeah. No, they only bring me in when the Eagles are involved.
Oh, okay.
It's like, so tell me about Randall Cunningham's impact. Randall Cunningham arrived in Philadelphia in 1987. Yeah, I've done those. Bogusch, by the way, I'm a little mad at you about one thing from this
great.
week.
Yeah.
Again?
How come you didn't give us more trades yesterday at the NBA trade deadline?
Give you more trades? Make them or report them?
I don't know. I was totally disappointed. You got the bar so high with Luka, and then you gave me nothing yesterday. I was expecting to come in this morning with some big names.
Well, nothing happened yesterday. That's not my fault. I'm not running a team yet.
Yeah, what do you think, NBA 2K? He's doing my league or my GM? What do you
I don't know. I mean, you're the headline guy. When things don't happen, it's your fault.
You really think that if he was the headlines guy, that he'd be putting your Eagles in the Super Bowl and the Phillies winning 100 games? Him, of all people, you know him.
Yeah. Also, if I had power, you'd be sick, not Maggie.
Oh, no. I set myself up for that. All right. Anything else?
No, I'm done.
All right. Let's lighten the mood. We're going to bring in a Hall of Famer who actually is close personal friends with Carol Perloff, my mother. That is a long story, but is one of the most, unlike Bogusch, beloved persons in the media world. People is another way to say it. Yeah. Whatever, Bogusch. I can see you judging me on our Zoom feed. Let's lighten the mood next with Jerome Bettis, Hall of Famer, next right here, M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, it's football season, and Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Oh, man, I'll be at the game and won't be able to eat the way I want to eat Super Bowl. EJ, what are you going to eat Super Bowl? What?
Oh, so we were thinking empanadas.
Oh, I love empanadas.
Yeah, there's a great empanadas place not too far from me in Queens, so we're going to order a bunch.
Unfortunately, Maggie, our girl, is a little sick today, was not able to make it in. EJ's sliding over, but that's okay. We're here at Radio Row, and there's just so much going on. There's so much excitement. Yeah, factual.
Live feed from
Yeah.
Maggie's hotel room.
Yeah, she'll tell the story when she gets back on Monday about tough place to get sick, but she'll be back soon, and she's got her Josh Allen MVP under her belt, so I'm sure that made her happy. If the Eagles won, that might make her miserable because I will be cocky for the next week, but there's nothing you can do about that. All right, one of the nicest people in the football world, for sure, one of the most well-liked, a Super Bowl champion, a Hall of Famer, one of the great all-time running backs, Jerome Bettis joins us. Jerome, thank you for coming on.
No, thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
You're not going to remember this, but you know Jerome is a good guy. There was a Super Bowl where he was in the green room at the Dan Patrick Show, and so were my parents, and Jerome and Carol Perloff talked for half an hour.
Yes.
And my parents like, wow, he is the nicest NFL player I've ever met.
I'm telling you, this is the Jerome Bettis aura, the glow that kind of follows you. You know, let's first talk about the Steelers because we had a little bit of breaking news maybe. Adam Schefter said the team hopes that Russell Wilson is going to be back next year as quarterback for the Steelers. And listen, that was a question whether it was going to be Russ or Fields.
Yeah.
Jerome, what do you think of that decision if
Well,
that's indeed the case?
I like that decision. I think that is a smart decision. I think you go with the veteran guy, but I think you have to have a plan as well. You have to have the plan. Where is the next quarterback? Because right now, you know, Russell, he can give you multiple years, but you can't think that he's the 10-year plan.
Right.
So they have to find what is the 10-year plan. I think if you bring Russell back and you don't have an heir apparent ready, then I think you've done yourself a disservice because I think he's the guy who can teach that young quarterback how do you play the position at a high level? How do you prepare? How do you practice, right? How do you handle yourself? I think those are all things that as a quarterback you want to learn from a Russell Wilson. And if he's not in the building, then I think you're doing yourself a disservice.
But if you look at this year's draft class, where the Steelers always pick high, you know, they're not in the top 5, so there's not a franchise quarterback.
They're a victim of their own success.
So there's a guy we interviewed earlier this week, Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe, who could be end of first round, second round guy, but he's a project. I mean, if you're Steelers, is that what you're talking about? A guy who needs maybe a lot of work?
I think if that's what you're looking for, I think Justin Fields is right there.
Right.
I think if you like a Milroe, Justin Fields is right there. I think he's going to be a better option for you because I think he's been in that situation. He's working in that same mold, and I think he's a better passer than Milroe is at this current moment. So if that's what you're looking for, I think that's out there already. I think you have to look at what you want your team to look like. Do you want a mobile quarterback? Do you have the system for him, right? Do you have the right offensive coordinator for him? And I think those are the questions you got to ask yourself because the decision that you make now is going to be a 10-year decision, and you need to have the infrastructure in place to make sure that happens.
The Hall of Famer Jerome Bettis is joining us on behalf of PXG, and we'll talk all about your golf game in just a moment, Jerome. I'm sure it's great.
Or lack of.
Or lack of. Okay. You know, if we wanted to, we could do a radio show where we just say Mike Tomlin and open the phones.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm curious maybe for people who have gotten some fans respect the fact that he never has a losing record and that he always has the Steelers. No matter who's on the team, it feels like you're going to be hovering around 500 and you could be playoff bound. But, you know, the playoff drought in terms of winning a game is starting to stack up. What would you like to tell fans who have gotten frustrated with Mike Tomlin?
Well, you get frustrated with the coach, but ultimately all he can do is a coaching performance, right? Mm-hmm. He can't do a quarterbacking performance. He can't do a running back, a receiving performance. So I think what fans have to understand is he's going to do the best job he can do with what he has, right? And then you have to go and peel the onion back and say, well, what does he have? Maybe that's the question, right? And so he's not given what he's needed, right? They went out. They were trying to get IU because they knew they had a deficiency at the wide receiver position, right?
Right.
Did they feel that? No. So consequently, you went into the season and you didn't have the requisite wide receivers, right, at the position. So now you're playing with a disadvantage. You've got one really good receiver who's he got banged up there late in the season, and now you go on this slide because you don't have the bodies, the talent, if you will, at those key positions, right, that can get you over the hump when somebody gets hurt. Now all of a sudden you become less than an average football team. So now you got to start looking at the personnel, and you say to yourself, do we have enough? Are we a championship caliber team from a personnel perspective? And the answer is no.
But a lot of people say the offenses are too conservative under Matt Canada, under Arthur Smith. Would you like to see them open it up a little more?
I would, but you have to, again, have the personnel.
It's not the
right?
coaching.
So you got to have the person. So think about this.
Arthur Smith, he's not
we can open it up, but if I got no receivers to throw it to, I got no quarterback to throw it, what am I opening up? Right?
Yeah.
I think what you have to do is you can't say I want to open it up. You've got to have the personnel that dictates you opening it up. Okay? So if you have the quarterback, you can throw the ball 40 times, then you say, hey, let's throw the ball 40 times. If you have, for instance, the Eagles, if they say, hey, let's open it up, why? We got the personnel to run the football. What are we opening it up for? Right? That's dumb on our part. So you have to have the personnel to open it up, right? Conversely, Kansas City, if they said, hey, let's play ground and pound, you're going to say, what? What? With Patrick Mahomes, you're going to play ground and pound? Are you kidding me? You're going to take the ball out of his hands? So it's about the personnel that you have. And I think that determines what type of offense you have.
Jerome, you're here on behalf of PXG. So you said the golf game. I mean, how long are you off the tee? Are you more of a short game guy? I mean,
I am a short game guy.
Okay.
That's the strength of my game.
Well, that's where the money gets made, Jerome.
That's the strength of my game. But I am decent off of the tee. I'm fairly accurate, but I'm just not the longest. I had a fusion some years ago in my back, so I'm not a long ball hitter, but I can move it out there when I need to.
How's the bowling game? Is that
so? The bowling game has suffered because of the knees. I don't bowl as much as I used to now. The golf game is kind of taken over.
Okay.
In place of the bowling.
All you got to do is go to pxg.com, and that's where you can find all the information
Yep.
on all of this golf equipment. If it's
Yep.
helping Jerome Bettis, it can help you.
That's right.
The Hall of Famer Jerome Bettis. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
That's really interesting. Jerome Bettis is basically saying Mike Tomlin doesn't have the personnel to take the next step as a Steelers GM. I did sort of push back a little bit. They do hire these conservative offensive coordinators, Arthur Smith, former Falcons head coach. I don't know if Mike Tomlin wants to open it up and play offense, but Jerome is making a pretty good argument that they don't have the guys. I feel like Omar Khan has a pretty good draft history. They're not all hits. Kenny Pickett, they missed at 21 in the first round. And I don't know about Broderick Jones.
Right.
He's been hot and cold. Of course, the left tackle that the Jets wanted to draft. But he's also made some amazing defensive picks. Joey Porter Jr., we had Joey Porter Sr. on, was an all-time pick, and T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith. I'm not sure that it's not Tomlin. And I just think that Tomlin has to change a little bit his coaching style to be more aggressive.
But at the same time, when you look at their team, I mean, if you're ranking their skill position, their explosive players, like, where do they rank them in the NFL? I mean, like, what, 25? Yeah. I mean, like, I'm being generous. Like they don't have a lot of pieces. So I think Jerome makes some good points. Like, if you want them to play an open up style, you need a quarterback that can deliver the ball to these guys. You need guys that can catch. You need running backs that can make plays. Like, the Steelers' offense is just mid. It's just a great definition for it. It's just a mid collection of talent.
And also there's a report, as we mentioned, that Russell Wilson is likely going to come back. That's a problem, too.
Right, yeah.
And I like Russell Wilson a lot.
I do, too.
But is he the guy to lift this level of talent around him? You look at Pickens, Van Jefferson, and Calvin Austin were their top three wide receivers this year. Then they got Mike Williams. But
to be
Mike
honest,
Williams is not fully healthy.
You know they should be in on the market on? They should be in on T. Higgins.
Yeah, I mean, well,
I know. Look, he's going to be a free agent, so there's no reason you can't, sign him.
I know.
And we see guys go from division to division. They just signed Patrick Queen last year. Like, they another supernova on that skill position side. Well, you got to give the rest of as much support as possible.
They couldn't get Ayuk last year, of course.
Exactly.
Tried really hard. T. Higgins, there are a lot of teams that want T. Higgins. The Steelers used to have an abundance of wide receivers. They had Santonio Holmes and Antonio Brown and Martavis Bryant. I was telling you this the other day. They would draft guys with red flags at wide receiver, and they'd get them lower in the draft. I think Antonio Brown was 5th round. I don't know where Martavis Bryant went. I know Pickens. The only reason Pickens was not a first-round pick, George Pickens, is because there were some red flags. Yeah. And I think we've seen some attitude issues there. Yep. So you're right. It is not a great roster, and Jerome Bettis has made it very, very clear. I love when former players rip their team, and I have a feeling we're going to get a little bit more of that with our next interview. I'm so excited for this. This guy is unbelievably cool, and I'll give you a hint. We'll find out what's a catch and what's not a catch. Fair, EJ, right? That's the big topic with this dude. Who's also happens to be a former Cowboy. That's next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Unfortunately, Maggie is run down from a week full of wild partying here in New Orleans. No, I am kidding. She a little bit sick, had some late nights here. We've been doing a lot of interviews here on Radio Row, fortunately, and Maggie was able to be a part of most of them. She will, I'm sure, be back Monday. I don't know if she's going to be upset if my Philadelphia Eagles win, because I will be super obnoxious. I know EJ, who's filling in for Maggie today, you do not want to see the Chiefs three-peat. You're done with this story.
I'm done, yeah. I'll be elated if the Eagles win the Super Bowl. I'm not like you. I don't thrive off of your pain. I have no problem with you winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, I don't relate to that. I want to see my coworkers struggle in a sports sense. Not as much in a personal sense, but a little bit there, too. Speaking of which, we've interviewed a lot of interesting guys this week, and former players have strong thoughts on their former teams. Yesterday, we made a lot of news with a line that Emmitt Smith, the great Emmitt Smith, said about the Cowboys. He said, do not draft Ashton Genty, the Heisman Trophy runner-up out of Boise State, incredible running back, because his talent will be wasted in Dallas. I could not believe that. I thought we were setting up to say, hey, let's get the running back, establish a running game. He's like, the infrastructure's not there. It's incredible how down people are on the Cowboys.
Yeah, I expected Emmett to be like, yeah, I'll be his mentor. Like, I'll show him the ropes. He was like, keep him as far away from Dallas as possible. It was quite stunning.
Yeah, it's totally unbelievable. It says a lot about the state of the Dallas Cowboys. And our next guest has had strong comments since he left Dallas, of course, and that's Dez Bryant. All-pro wide receiver, incredible player. So happy that he's here to join us. Now, Dez, Maggie got the sense on social media that people were saying Dez is crying too much about McCarthy. No, sorry, Dez is not crying. You are not crying about Mike McCarthy being let go.
I mean, I just felt like the era was over when Dan Quinn left. All the excitement went out the door. I'm a huge believer in Dan Quinn. What he did over there in Washington didn't surprise me one bit. He a player's coach. He knew how to get the guys to play him. I feel like that's kind of what you need. One of those coaches. You need that type of coach for the players in today's game. So,
Think they should have kept Dan Quinn and let McCarthy go?
I mean, they could have kept both. I don't care who the coach, long as Dan Quinn was in the building. Because I just felt like he got the best out of the players. If that was the offensive side, that was the defensive side, special teams, whatever. He an energy source.
Yeah. That's interesting because I think in our minds sometimes the offense and the defense are pretty separate, in a pro team. But you're an offensive guy. Dan Quinn's the defensive guy, and you still got a lot of inspiration from him or a lot of juice.
Absolutely. The same with Dan Campbell out in Detroit. He a player's coach, and you see how those guys perform you know, when you got a coach that's willing to go run through the wall for them as well. So that's how I go.
You know, it's funny. The Eagles have a coach, Nick Sirianni, who people say is a player's coach, but he doesn't play call. Do you think, to be a great head coach, do you have to be a play caller?
I mean, no, you don't have to be a play caller. You just need to be able to get your guys ready for battle. And I think he does a great job. That's why they're here in the Super Bowl getting ready to play against the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, take my hats off. I can't believe I'm giving these guys credit, the Commanders and the Eagles. You know, I still got the hatred built up inside, but I'm not biased when I'm talking about the game of football.
Okay, so we're here with Des Bryant, of course, the All-Pro and the Cowboys legend, and, Brian Schottenheimer now steps in. I'm going to be honest, there's a few people that wondered, why did the Cowboys only interview 4 people? Why were 2 of the 4 either the current offensive coordinator or the former one in Kellen Moore? I mean, what did you make of the whole process and how they got to Schotty?
It just lets me know, it's telling me they're not serious. They're not serious about, the future in the next 2 to 3 years. I felt like last year the Cowboys were rebuilding. They proved me right. And when I look at Dak Prescott and I look at that offense, I'm looking at the things that you need to be successful playing in this league. I just don't see it, and, I don't know the coach. I'm going to call him Schotty. I have a hard time pronouncing his name. I'm going to call him Schotty. Everybody who's listening, what I'm talking about. I don't know him, so I can't say anything good or bad about him. But my energy, I feel like I am an energy person. I don't have good energy. I don't have good energy about what's going on in Dallas.
So we had Emmitt Smith on earlier this week, and I asked him, do you want the Cowboys to draft a running back, Ashton Genty? And I thought he would say, yeah, because he's a running back. And he said, absolutely not. They're not ready to add one offensive piece. They kind of have to look at the whole thing.
Yes.
When you look at the Cowboys personnel-wise moving forward, what do you think they need to do?
Man, it's a lot of areas they need to take care of. The O-line is looking pretty weak right now. There's a lot of injuries down there. We don't know what's going on with the guy, Zach Martin. We don't know if he want to retire or not. I agree. I agree with Emmitt.
What about a wide receiver?
I mean, I think CD need help. It's gonna come a point to where it's like, we're gonna have to double CD, and we don't have anybody. No disrespect to none of the other wide receivers over there, but we need another playmaker. So CD and whoever that is can, play off each other and keep them free.
Des Bryant is with us, War 88. Famous number, Dallas Cowboys legend on behalf of Fanatics Sportsbook. It seems like you're having fun with this sports gambling stuff. Yes. We see you on social media. Yes. You got a good bet for the game?
Oh, absolutely. By the way, I'm here. I'm glad I'm here with Fanatics Sportsbook. We here to take over the best sports book. So I just want to go ahead and put that out there.
Okay.
But I do. I'm going for Taylor Swift.
In what way?
Meaning the Chiefs are going to win. But my play, I like Jalen Hurts. I like Jalen Hurts over. Last time I checked, it was 210.
Okay.
His over-under.
Passing yards,
Passing yards. I don't think the Chiefs is going to let Saquon do what Saquon do. So I think they're going to have to throw the ball. I think A.J. Brown, I think those receivers, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, I think they're going to have a game. So I'm going to take – that's one of the bets. Jalen Hurts, 210 over, passing, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Taylor Swift and the Kansas City Chiefs for the win.
Des Bryant with us on behalf of Fanatics Sportsbook, the official host of the big game. You're taking over the sportsbook, the social media accounts, and offering customers the chance to share $100,000 in fan cash by placing a $20 wager on the big game touchdown parlay. Can I just circle back to the Cowboys for a second? Because you said that you don't think they're being serious for the next 2 or 3 years by this Brian Schottenheimer move or several moves they've made. Then was it a mistake to sign Dak Prescott to that big contract? Should this just have been a full, more rebuild?
That's a great question. And I'm just going off of the things I believe. It's just an opinion. It's not a fact. So don't kill me, whoever listening. It's just an opinion. I feel like all throughout Dak's career, it's been coaches that's been familiar, that's always been with him. And I kind of feel like a lot of that is leaving, if that makes sense. And that's what leads me to believe things is kind of heading in a different direction. You know, they're not going to say it in the media, but if you read between the lines and just pay attention to what's going on, you can read the writing on the wall. And that's kind of, you know, what I've been getting from all of this. You know, like Shotty, like, he don't really have any experience. You know, and there's no knock on him. Like I said, I pray he do good. I want him to do good. I bleed blue. So, you know, we just got to wait and see. But my take on it, I don't see no success. And you're right. You know, why sign him to the contract? You know, if he wasn't going to put the best pieces around him for him to succeed.
You know, Troy Aikman said he wasn't sure how desirable this job was anymore. Do you agree with Troy?
I agree with him. You know, like, I think, you know, and I need Mr. Jones, Stephen Jones, Will McClay, all those guys to understand there's no hate. Not hating. You know, we want to see good football. You know, this is the best franchise in sports history. You know, Jerry done an outstanding job of marketing his team, you know, putting it on the map. Come on, let's win now. You know, this is one of the biggest things. You know, I used to get criticized for it when I was playing. I wanted to win. I didn't give a damn what nobody was talking about. Hey, beat me up, cuss me out. Hey, at the end of the day, as long as you know that I'm coming out here to give my best, that's the only thing that matters. And it'll come with some heat.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Tony Romo, you like him as a broadcaster? Here we go, Jim.
I love him because I feel like he's him. You know, that's what when I listen to Romo, that was Romo in practice. That was him in the film room. You know, he was a smart guy, very, very intelligent when it came to the game of football. I know you guys can see that when he, you know, broadcasting the games. He calling out the plays. He's calling the protection. He know where the ball is going. You know, like, that's a gift. I need to see him coaching. He should be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys, if anybody, at least the offensive coordinator.
Tony Romo should be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys?
Yep. At least the offensive coordinator, one of them. He's a smart guy.
Des Bryant, on behalf of Fanatics Sportsbook, the official host of the big game, as we said, offering customers the chance to share $100,000 in fan cash by placing a $20 wager on his big game touchdown parlay. Des, great to talk with you. Thank you so much.
Man, thank you guys for having me.
I get the sense that Maggie was not down with Tony Romo as the new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
No, yeah, the way she asked that question again, she was like, so let me get this straight. You want Tony Romo to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? And Des is like, yes. Or offensive coordinator.
I mean, Tony Romo does know a ton of football. You know who could be a head coach who we talked to earlier? Greg Olsen. That guy's a coach in it. His dad's a coach too.
Right, yeah.
So all these guys know X's and O's. I have no problem with Tony Romo being a head coach. I think he's got brilliant football mind. As a broadcaster, well, maybe
I'll be honest,
up and down.
I'll be honest. I think Des Bryant got the second part right. I think it was actually the second part. Maybe OC. I could see him being a play caller because the way he calls out stuff during games and things he should do, that's one of the few things I actually like when he does. Like, sometimes, like, you know, they should just QB sneak twice here, things like that. Like, he clearly, I think he kind of has a good concept for, like, what kind of plays you should be running at certain times. I almost think maybe that would be something he could do. Head coach, he seems a little, I don't know, he's a little weird. I don't know if the players will really respond to him.
No, I don't know. As a quarterback, he was a leader. I disagree with that. When
that's fair.
He was
the player who's different. You're right.
Oh, he was the opposite of weird as a player. He was
I know.
boring.
No,
he didn't say
right.
anything to the press, button up. Yeah, I think he could do it if he wanted to. He had a call in the AFC title game. I believe it was him who said the Bills are going to come out and they're going to run. He must have gotten something in the pre-show meeting. But it was strange because the Bills had gotten away from it a little bit, and he accurately said they got to reestablish the run. They have a chance here with their line. That was actually pretty brilliant, and he was right.
Yeah.
And he does that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He does get goofy, and it is funny. But
who do you think will have more success, Deion or Tony Romo as head coach of the Giants, of the Cowboys? I mean,
well, Deion's got proven success as a coach. I would pick Deion, but I mean, we've asked a lot of people about Deion. Everyone said it should be college.
Yeah, well, Deion himself said it should be college. He's pretty much, he said earlier in the week, he was like, I can't coach in the NFL.
Do you believe that?
Probably because the guys practice too lazy. Like,
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, which makes me wonder why we did this whole song and dance with him and Jerry Jones anyway.
But it's funny, Des Bryant now wants to coach. I got to tell you, when he was a player, I would not have called that necessarily.
I know.
Yeah, but clearly he's one of those wide receivers. Wide receivers are just characters. And he was such a character. It's your favorite player of all time, Chad Ochocinco.
Love him.
Could you see him being a coach?
No. I was trying. I'm like, can I find a way?
Yeah.
I just, no. I mean, he's going to be telling his players to eat McDonald's every day, three times a day.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a nutritious meal, I think.
I think a lot of the football meetings they do are boring. Chad Ochocinco will be the most exciting coach. By the way, Romo's not giving up golf in a million years to be the offensive coordinator and watch tape. All right, coming up.
Facts.
We're gonna talk to a Hall of Famer. I'm very curious what this Hall of Famer thinks about Eli Manning not making the Hall of Fame. That's next, right here from Radio Row in New Orleans, the Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff show. Does everyone remember the commercial, the two Dans from the 1988 Olympics or 84? I'm probably dating myself. We have two Dans, and we're really excited about that. We have, of course, Hall of Famer Dan Marino and the CEO of NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness, Dan Gillison. We're going to talk about NAMI. Very good cause, very interesting. I just want to talk a couple football things here. Of course, you're a Hall of Famer, Dan Marino. Were you surprised that Eli Manning didn't get into the Hall of Fame on the first ballot?
Yeah, a little bit. He's won 2 Super Bowls, and he's been very productive. And I guess they're making it harder and harder again because I thought he should have been at first ballot.
Okay. You look at the numbers.
I don't know the number. I don't have him in front of me.
He's
but
11th.
I see 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah,
so.
no, it's funny to me. He's 11th all-time in passing yards.
Okay.
And I was looking at some of these numbers. The numbers keep changing. He's going to get passed by because numbers keep going up and up. But there's one exception to that. That is your numbers. I looked at your reference yesterday.
Oh, make me feel good. All right.
Yeah. So this is incredible. And Dan Gillison, the CEO of NAMI, you could agree with this.
Yes.
The 1984 season, when you set the record for touchdowns with 48 and yards, 5,084, you were so far ahead of the field. It was incredible. You broke Dan Fouts' yardage record and Y.A. Tittle's touchdown record, 36. What happened that year? How did you get so far? Was it just you were that good, or was it a system thing?
Well,
it's unbelievable.
I'll take that I was that good credit, but also, I had special guys with me. I had White Stephen was our center, Duper, Clayton, Nat Moore, and it just seemed like it all came together. And the one thing is we had to compete at the end of the year for home field advantage, right? So it was like not. So we were playing. We had to play. We had to win the last game to have home games. And against Dallas, and we ended up throwing for a lot of yards in that game, and that's when Clayton caught 3 touchdowns and broke the record. So it was one of those deals, and we always had to compete to win down the line there, and that's why I think these numbers got a little higher.
Did you ever feel competitive when guys had it easier? They changed the rules, of course, in the 2000s when Peyton and Tom started throwing 50 touchdowns. Did you ever look back at those guys and say, you know what, they had it easier than me?
I do. I tell them all the time.
The Hall of Fame. Yeah, I get it. Hall of Famer Dan Marino here.
Yeah, I don't have to prove it anymore, so,
Yeah, of course. And Dan Gillison, the two Dans here from NAMI.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about NAMI.
So before I do that, let me just say this, that what Danny just talked about in terms of that season, that was an orchestra. And that's what we're doing right now. We're creating an orchestra. Oh, thank you. I'm such a fan. So this partnership with Dan and Stay Healthy Zone is also an orchestra. So let me now back up and tell you a little bit about.
Wait, can I tell you one line I heard? I keep hearing from Nick Sirianni, the Eagles coach.
Yeah.
To be great, you need the other people around you to be great.
That's
That's his mantra. He keeps saying that. So I think that's the same theme.
Yeah. The woodwinds, the brass, the strings, and the percussion, they all got to play together. They all got to play together, and that's what Danny did. That's what Danny did. So that's what we're going to do in this partnership.
Thanks, Dan. You can travel with me anytime you want.
Thank you, buddy. So let me tell you about NAMI. We are the largest grassroots mental health organization in the United States. We're in over 650 communities across the United States, providing programs and support groups free of charge to families and individuals navigating mental illness. We were started in 1979 in Madison, Wisconsin, by a group of parents sitting around a kitchen table talking about how do we advocate for our young people. So that's where we started, and we're now in our 46th year.
Unbelievable. And the connection with sports, too. We're talking about 1984 in the NFL. Can you imagine talking about mental health issues back in the 80s in the NFL?
Oh no, they didn't. I mean, it was something like you just get the smelling salts and boom, you're back in. I mean, it didn't have what it is today, but I think it's a good thing that the league's doing. So it's so important, and just get the awareness out there for NAMI, and then also just the awareness for NFL players and watching the people watching the games, and they see what the NFL is doing, trying to for player health. I think goes a long way throughout the country.
Can I ask a question about mental health? I have young kids. I have a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old, and I've heard a lot of talk about the phones. And it's funny, we're here. There's a lot of sports gambling talking about the phones. Do you think that kind of thing has a negative impact on young people's mental health, social media, all that kind of thing? Are you seeing really new trends in mental health issues because of what the kids are facing in the modern world?
Yeah, our most recent Surgeon General did actually a report on the use of phones and the use of phones with young kids, and just said that there needed to be some calibration in terms of that. There's access now that we didn't have. There's peer pressure that, and it's all happening in real time in terms of immediacy. There's no, when we were growing up, it was more of the crock pot. Now it's the microwave in terms of how fast they can access information and access good information and good spirits from each other. But the peer pressure the answer is yes. So how does a parent navigate that? We have a new book. We try to meet people where they are, and we want to make sure that even our young people know they're not alone. So what does that mean for a parent? So we decided, okay, we're not a publisher, but we're going to write a book. You're Not Alone, the NAMI Guide to Navigating Mental Health.
Oh, wow.
And we wrote one for parents and caregivers.
Oh, great.
And it talks about that.
That's special,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny, too, with the phones. You see players right after the game in the NFL just go straight to their phone.
I mean, immediately.
And almost at halftime, I think some of them do it. I want to ask another question, Dan, about your past. You came off an Achilles injury. I don't know if everyone remembers that, like Aaron Rodgers, but you came back and had an MVP caliber season. When you saw Aaron Rodgers play this year, it didn't seem like he was himself. Tell me about recovering from that injury. What's the hardest part, the physical or the mental?
I think it's a little of both because, physically, basically for me, it was very tedious and it took a long time. And I didn't, and my Achilles was elongated, right? So I wasn't able to go up on my foot and all that thing for a while. And I didn't actually going in to that year. I was struggling in preseason, and I just didn't know how it was going to turn out. But once those lights came on and we're playing the New England Patriots, and it just came back like nothing happened.
Were you able to not think about it when you dropped back?
Yeah. No.
See, I wonder if Aaron Rodgers felt that comfortable last year.
I mean, I think the way it happened, too, the fact that it happened to him, in the fourth snap of the season, that probably messed him up a little bit as far as the next year, as far as being careful about what he's doing.
If he called you right now, he's in his 40s, and said, Dan, do you think I should keep playing? Do you think I should give it another shot? Is my Achilles going to get better where I feel like myself?
I think that his Achilles will probably be what it is. It's not going to pretty change much. But if I was him, I'd keep playing. Why not? I mean, if he feels it, it's in his heart. He's got the arm strength still and plenty good enough mobility. So if I was him, I'd play.
And what about from the team standpoint? Would you want an Aaron Rodgers?
Me?
Yeah, if say you were the Jets or say you were a team, because the Jets didn't do well last year.
Yeah, I think in the right spot. I mean, they either keep him or it's the right spot for Aaron wherever he would want to go, Okay. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, we're our show's in New York. I think there some people the Jets give them a lot of mental issue. We have some Jets fans on our staff.
A little bit of trauma.
Yeah. So for NAMI,
they're still just getting over the fake spike game from way back.
I was going to say. So I'm a lifelong Eagles fan.
Yes.
Any advice? I have seen studies that the mental health of a city goes down in certain cities after their team loses.
Yeah.
What do you tell people who are diehard Eagles fans and diehard Chiefs fans if their team loses? Give them some advice, Dan.
Oh my gosh, it is stay the course. Stay the course and know that your team put everything they could into it.
Yeah.
But let's think positive. Let's think real positive. But as an Eagles fan, as you indicated that you are, you got to know there's two teams on the field. And there's only two outcomes.
Dan, how can people get to know about NAMI?
NAMI.org.
NAMI.org.
NAMI.org. Or if somebody is looking for resources,
Yeah.
we have a helpline. And that helpline is at 1-800-950-6264.
Okay.
And we have volunteers that are on that helpline to provide resources and to put you in the direction of where to go for resources. So that's
Awesome.
how they can find out about NAMI.
And other Dan Marino, you have a
Yes.
feel for this game? Do you think the Chiefs can pull off this historic three-peat?
I do. I really do. But I think, the plan should be for Philadelphia is just run the ball, try to keep him on the sidelines.
Keep Mahomes on the sideline?
That's the best defense for him is keep him standing over there.
I think you might be the best thrower I've ever seen, but what do you think of Mahomes' physical skills?
Yeah, it's amazing. The way he could, I think that has to do, too, with him being a shortstop, growing up and all that. He can throw sidearm over the top, all the different angles. Really a special competitor, all those things. I mean, he'd be in the Hall of Fame right now if, he was coming out.
What do you think of Jalen Hurts on the other side?
I think he's solid, man. He's solid. Yeah. And he makes if sometimes you have to keep him in the pocket. You keep him in the pocket, then he may struggle a little bit. But when he gets out moving, throwing the ball, he's tough.
Now, you didn't run a lot. Would you have changed your game if you came up now? Would you have tried to be more mobile?
I don't think God gifted me that ability.
That was not a choice. That was a necessity.
Not a choice. Yeah, that was it, man.
Oh,
that's
all
it.
All right,
So, I want to say something real quick about what you asked Danny about his Achilles tendon and him coming back. And this goes to the mental aspect when you're an NFL player. Only about 1.6 of college athletes make it to the pros. That's the first thing. And think about the fact that you've matriculated through playing pee-wee ball, high school ball, college ball. Now you make it to the NFL. And there was a coach that told his team, his players, he says, listen, you've made it to the NFL now. When you get here, the game is 90% mental and 10% physical. So what Dan was calling on is his mental as he's rolling back in the pocket and throwing. He already had all the mechanics. It was all mental at that point.
Oh, my gosh.
That's very true. You got to be tough mentally, especially
think
coming off injuries like that.
Right, and the Chiefs, that is their edge. I don't think the Chiefs, anyone thinks they have a talent edge here, but if the game is close, what is that mental thing they have that they find a way to win all these close games?
Here's the thing about it. Once you do it once, right? Once you do something once, and maybe it takes time to do that fourth quarter comeback or to come from behind. Once you do it once, you can do it again, and your teammates know you can do it again. So it kind of takes the pressure off. And for the fact that he already has 2 Super Bowls, he has nothing to lose.
Oh, yeah. Well, as an Eagles fan, I'm hoping that they somehow defy the odds and come away with this one. But this was great. And NAMI sounds like such a great cause. CEO Dan Gillison, good luck with this. And thank you very much. And Dan Marino, it's great to see you. Every year you've come on the Super Bowl, been kind enough.
And I just wanted to mention, too, the Stay Healthy Zone. We're partnering with NAMI. We're partnering with NAMI, and it's a digital platform. And we're really excited. The people I work with at Stay Healthy Zone, we have a chance to work with them.
That's really cool. Yeah. Yes, hopefully next time we'll see you next year, and I will be a champion as a Philadelphia Eagle.
There you go, buddy.
That's Dan Marino and NAMI CEO Dan Gillison. Thank you very much. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with Andrew Bogusch and headlines right here on the Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff show live from Radio Row. It's Super Bowl. Unfortunately, we don't have Maggie today. She was feeling under the weather. I'm sure she will be back Monday to break down the Super Bowl. It's getting close. We're getting excited. We're at Radio Row. There's superstars walking around right now, Hall of Famers. We just talked to Dan Marino. It's so exciting. But to bring us down, let's go to Andrew Bogusch. Dude, I'm sorry. I don't know. That whole intro, Maggie's so much better at this, and it was just the whole intro was flowing that direction. I couldn't stop it.
So just for the record, you personally wouldn't let me go with you guys to New Orleans. You put the kibosh on me joining you down there.
Yes.
And now this entire week, you've been rubbing it in our face, and on the last day, you're taking really heavy direct swings at me.
No, it's because Maggie's not here.
You
Don't you
suck,
realize? Don't you realize that's what's actually going on here?
Yeah.
Hi, EJ. Your headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you could save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. Deeper. What happened last night at NFL Honors truly doesn't happen often. Josh Allen, in an upset, named MVP over Lamar Jackson after Lamar easily beat Josh for All-Pro honors. This is the first time since 2003 that the MVP wasn't a first-team All-Pro, and that's because in 2003, Steve McNair shared MVP with Peyton Manning. the last and only solo MVP that wasn't also first-team All-Pro was John Elway in 1987. I don't remember if you guys remember this. When that All-Pro voting came out this year and had Lamar winning, people basically gave him the MVP that day, saying there's no way he's not going to be MVP.
Right. The odds change, right? If you're in a state that can bet on that, I hope you bet Josh Allen because Lamar Jackson became the heavy favorite.
Yeah, I mean the numbers Bogusch just mentioned. I mean, only 2 other guys in the history of the NFL before that. So.
Well, it's funny if you have a ballot for that. Lamar Jackson's numbers are just so much better this year. Josh Allen's numbers came down. They're outstanding, but 3,700 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, where Lamar's over 4,000, his best passing season by a mile, still also, I think, the leading rusher of any quarterback. And the funny thing is, it kind of worked out because Josh Allen beat Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. So I think history will have no problem with this choice. The only thing I think history might have an issue with, if Saquon Barkley is a star in the Super Bowl, there's going to be, that should have been Saquon's MVP just to sort of rub it in a little more for Giants fans.
Or you could say that Lamar should at the very least been Offensive Player of the Year, but he wasn't even that either because Saquon was. Patrick Surtain Jr. won on the other side of the ball. Jaden Daniels, Jarrett Verse voted top rookies, and Jaguars D lineman Eric Armstead won the most prestigious award of the night, the Walter Payton Man of the Year for his off-field work.
He gets to have that cool Walter Payton badge on his jersey. I love that they do that.
It's a reminder that Eric Armstead's on the Jaguars.
Yes, it is.
It is a reminder.
Doing God's work.
By the way, Patrick Surtain is Defensive Player of the Year. That was not registering the first time you told me that. I can't believe that. I mean, he's an amazing cornerback. But what, I don't know, did he impact the NFL season that much?
I mean, the Broncos are basically a defense-only team, right? And they made it to the playoffs, and he's their best defender. I'm cool with it. I like when they give corners Defensive Player of the Year because oftentimes they don't get the opportunities to get all these splashy stats because you don't want to throw them the ball. But this guy takes away half the field.
And also, too, the sack guys, like T.J. Watt had a disappointing season.
Yeah.
Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson would have won this if he had stayed healthy. Trey Hendrickson had 17.5 sacks, but the Bengals' defense was terrible.
It was the worst defense in the NFL.
And also, he is the only player on that team. You couldn't give it to Myles Garrett because Myles Garrett has such a high bar for his own self that he didn't make it. Anyway, kind of lame. Sorry. But I say that Patrick Surtain's awesome. I'm a buzzkill. I'm sorry, Bogusch. Go ahead.
We also met the newest Hall of Famers last night: Sterling Sharp, Jared Allen, Antonio Gates, and Eric Allen. First time since 2012 that fewer than 7 people will go into Canton. And another international game announcement this morning from the NFL: the Steelers will host the very first game in Dublin next fall. Jimmy Butler joined the Warriors in L.A. yesterday, watched a 120-112 loss to the Lakers. Butler could debut tomorrow against the Bulls. Either way, he says he's happy to be putting the Miami divorce behind him.
I just want to be able to go out there and do what I've been doing for a very long time and have fun and smile and rip and run and not feel like I'm just doing cardio majority of the game. So I'm very, very, very happy that I'm not getting suspended no more.
What? Is he serious?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, come on. No, I was talking to Maggie about this the other day. It's astonishing the turn, I feel like, among fans and media members on Jimmy Butler. I think, Pearl, you're one of, if you hold us, I still feel like he's a dog, he's a baller, you want on your team. But I feel like most other people are like, wow, this guy is a clown.
But I was working in the industry when he did the other stuff, especially the Minnesota, the practice.
I know.
Everyone said he was a clown, and then he killed it.
Right. Maybe that will happen. Maybe he'll go to Golden State and he'll make us forget about this. But I don't think it will. I really do feel like I think that I can't talk. The totality of these incidents, I think people are like, wait a minute, who are we actually rooting for? I just go out there and get cardio? You wouldn't play. You didn't want to play through injury. You've been very much a diva the last year and a half. What's he talking about?
The Jimmy Butler experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Normal rules don't apply to that dude. Because come game time, he shows up.
I mean, kind of. In the playoffs, I guess. Not during the regular season, which I know you're going to say doesn't matter. But, he misses a lot of games. He takes a lot of games off. Yeah. And then what we saw in the last playoffs, he got hurt. And then we'll see whether or not they had an issue with him not being able to come back. But they definitely had an issue with him talking. So I don't know. We'll see if he shows up for the Golden State Warriors.
Here's my whole issue with the whole thing. I read these excerpts from the big Substacks of the NBA. That's how everybody reads about the NBA, on Substacks, these columnists. And they were writing, this is the most phenomenal trade deadline of all time. This is the most shocking trade deadline. Watch the Oklahoma City Thunder just roll and play the Boston Celtics in the finals, and this trade deadline will amount to nothing.
Well, maybe this season, but Luka Doncic going to the Lakers is a seismic shift. Like, that's going to amount to something for the landscape of the NBA.
But if Luka doesn't win with LeBron, then did this trade really have the impact?
Yes, because Luka. I think I differ from you both, you and Maggie, is I don't think this trade had anything to do with LeBron James. I really feel like the Lakers looked at this and said, we have a chance to get maybe besides Wembanyama, the most coveted young star in the NBA, who can now be our focal point, our international star for the next 10 years. So I don't think it has anything to do with LeBron James. I think they said, this is our future now. This is our next Shaq, our next Wilt, our next Kobe, or whatever it is, and we're going to move on from here. Whatever happens with LeBron, that's gravy. But this is all about the Luka Doncic era, which begins now and isn't ending for any time soon.
Yeah. Who's Luka playing with in L.A. then in this quote-unquote Luka Doncic?
They'll find guys.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. But they'd rather have Luka by himself than Anthony Davis by himself on that team. Because Luka Anthony's just, I mean, he's an elite player. But he's not even close to the same marketable player that Doncic is.
You guys are using way too much logic. You know, if they go out in the first round of the playoffs, everyone's gonna be like, "This trade failed." You know that's how people will react because we're all
you'll react like that.
True. Honestly, yeah.
When I say people, I mean me.
Yeah.
More people are idiots like me than you probably realize.
Speaking of that, if you weren't here last hour, this is my fault. No mega moves before yesterday's deadline. The Cavaliers did add DeAndre Hunter from the Hawks, and the Grizzlies unloaded Marcus Smart's contract on Washington. That creates some cap room for them to likely put towards an extension for Jaren Jackson Jr.
There it is.
Women's number 5, UConn lost last night, 80-76. And number 19, Tennessee, Paige Beckers, just 14 points, 5 of 16 shooting. Third-ranked Notre Dame handed Stanford the worst loss in program history, 96-47.
Damn.
Hannah Hidalgo, 24 points and 5 assists. On the men's side, Indiana coach Mike Woodson expected to step down after this season. Long story short, everyone around the Hoosiers hates him.
How long until he's back on the Knicks bench?
Is Indiana cooked? Like, is this just never going to happen for them?
But they had one of the top 5-10 NIL budgets this year. They went after it hard in the portal. So like the money theoretically is there, the structure's there. They should be able to find good players and have a good record.
Yeah, they basically sold, because I think a lot of the fan base wasn't that excited about Woody going there, but they basically sold it on the idea that, well, he has CAA behind him. He has NIL and Indiana boosters behind him. Like, they'll just give him the best roster. Kind of like what we've seen with Patino at St. John's. And it just never materialized. I'm like, where'd that money go? Is it in somebody's basement? Like, what happened?
Maggie would kibosh this conversation so fast. The second Mike, what's his name? EJ was trying to sneak that in there. Got to St. John's. Indiana's a football.
Come on. That was a good reference.
Radio Row, dude. Nobody cares about St. John's basketball. Okay. By the way, Indiana's a football school, Bogusch. Keep that in mind.
That's true, too. Ife Mizuhara sentenced to 57 months in jail for stealing $17 million from Shohei Ohtani. He's supposed to repay Shohei that money, so he'll be stealing from somebody else sometime soon. He also needs to give $1.1 million to the IRS as well. And finally, from the NHL, another one for Alex Ovechkin.
Ovechkin, great stretch pass ahead to Strome, but couldn't field it cleanly. Now leaves it for Wilson, who cuts up the left side, and Ovechkin scores as he cut back through the right circle. The pass comes from the far side. It's goals in 4 straight for Alex Ovechkin.
John Walton on Caps Radio. Ovechkin now on 879 career goals, 16 away from passing Wayne Gretzky for the most all time. And Washington won again, 4-3 in Philadelphia. They are 10 points clear of Florida atop the Eastern Conference. Mom, Dad, back to you.
Bogue, stick around for a sec.
Wait a minute.
Mom, Dad.
Yeah, what?
I didn't even say that.
Oh, come on, Manny.
Oh,
my mouth wasn't moving.
Oh, you know what? All right. Let's go around the room here. Do some predictions. I'm putting you guys on the spot because I didn't tell you I was going to make you do this. But I want to hear what you guys are predicting for the Super Bowl. Maggie, unfortunately, is sick today. We will not get her pick. You're going to have to go to our social feed at Maggie and Pearl to find that out. We do a season-long competition. She is beating me, so basically the way it works for this last game is she gets to choose the sides, and I have to counter her. Then we're going to do multiple props. But let's start around the room. Manny Rodriguez, why are you picking the Eagles, and why are they going to win?
I will not be doing any of that. I believe the Kansas City Chiefs will win, putting all my bias aside. I think they get the three-peat. I'll go ahead and say it's going to be some points on the board. Why don't we do 34-31 Chiefs?
Wow.
Oh, good. Over. 48.5. I like that. All right, Bogues, who do you got?
I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud, but you guys kind of caught my attention yesterday when you asked what's more likely, an Eagles blowout or a Chief close win. And I do think that talent differential matters, which you guys discussed this morning as well. I think the Eagles are not in a blowout, but they're going to score one last touchdown and make this like a 10-point differential. So I'm going to go Eagles 34, Chiefs 24.
My God.
I don't like it.
Manny, did you cut that? I am going to bring that back to the end of time.
I'll cut
Andrew Bogusch. Part of
Hashtag
Eagles
reverse
Nation.
jinx.
All right.
Yes.
EJ Stewart, who do you got?
I will take a line and remix it from my cousin James, who used to say, at the end of the day, Michael Jordan will always outplay your best player when it matters most. That's how Patrick Mahomes is to me. Patrick Mahomes, no matter when the chips are on the table and everything is there, Pat Mahomes is going to outplay your best player. So whether it's Jalen Hurts, whether it's Saquon Barkley, I'm a believer. I don't root for this. Everybody who listens to this show knows how I feel about the Chiefs and my Chiefs fatigue. But I think that they rise in these moments. And I think the Eagles, those young defenders, I think are going to be maybe a little rattled in this game. I think you may see some penalties, which will excite a lot of fans, right? I think you see some penalties, maybe some mistakes. I think the Chiefs win a good game, but I think a convincing win. Let's say something like 31-23.
Okay, I am actually going to hold off my final pick because I have to consult with Maggie about this. But I'll tell you right now, also, we're in the Eagles hotel. I really want to check out the health of the Eagles players because there's clearly
Stay
something
away.
going on.
Yeah,
There's
put on a hazmat suit.
No, I'm serious. Like
No,
I want to know how Jalen Carter's doing. Right now, I'll be honest, I have the Chiefs 28-26. The 26 is, of course, a missed extra point by Jake Elliott.
Ah, nice.
I firmly believe in that. I'll tell you some of the props that are interesting me. Xavier Worthy, plus 1,100 to be the first TD scorer. I feel like Xavier Worthy's going to be a factor in this game, of course, rubbing it in for Maggie Gray because he was traded by the Bills. You know what's interesting? The odds on Jalen Hurts for the first touchdown, plus 600. Jalen Hurts had 3 touchdowns the last time they played, running touchdowns. I feel like that is a really, really good bet.
I agree.
I think it's a big A.J. Brown game. The Chiefs are going to stack the box, force the Eagles to pass the ball, and A.J. Brown's going to come up big. But, EJ, I can't argue with your Michael Jordan theory. There's no rhyme. There's no reason. It's just Patrick Mahomes. I got 28-26 right now, although I really am watching Jalen Carter closely. Maybe we'll get some more information on that and other players, too, from our perch in the Eagles hotel. So it stinks, we're wrapping up here on Radio Row that Maggie's not here. We miss her, obviously. She's going to be fine. We miss her. I don't want to get any dire. But I got to tell you.
Did you want her in the memorandum in the NFL honors?
Manny, can you play some what is that song?
We'll
Voice of
remember you.
Yeah. Maggie's totally fine. She's probably out celebrating the Josh Allen MVP right now.
She's driving to Lamar Jackson's house to talk smack to his face.
It's funny. A lot of people come up to me and say a couple things. There are a lot of Andrew Bogusch fans here on Radio Row. I am not kidding.
I'm sure.
Who say hi to Bogues. He's the best.
You mean DA?
He counts as 10 people, though.
No, more than DA. More than DA.
Okay.
It's really the whole serious world loves
okay.
you.
Yeah.
One of the places you formerly worked. Also, so many people are fans of Maggie. She's not here. I got to tell you, I mean, she is beloved here at Radio Row. I think a lot of people love her even more for putting up with me and carrying me. And obviously, you see today how unbelievably fantastic she is at this job. So I hope she feels better. I hope she doesn't have to deal with the cocky Andrew Perloff on Monday. Big thanks to our tech team. Was incredible all week long. Justin Tucker, Bobby Dotson, Frank Lewis, Dan Silverman. I understand I missed it. They got the week kicked off right with a big party on Sunday night. I heard that was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, thanks to Manny. Thanks to Bogusch. Thanks to everybody back in New York who helped cutting all these interviews and all these videos. You can see them all on social media. I highly suggest you go see the alligator farm.
Yes.
You're not going to believe it. To me, that was a highlight of New Orleans, the six-fingered alligator farm guide. I will never, ever forget that. Incredible job, E.J. Stewart. Would say I'm proud of you, but the fact that you couldn't stay up an extra 15 minutes to watch Chris Stapleton was kind of lame.
It wasn't that I could not stay up. It's that I went back to cut all the interviews we played today, which was infinite, infinite number of interviews.
Lame.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just feel really lucky to be here at this Super Bowl to see my home team. New Orleans is rallied. It is a great American city. It's going to be really fun. What did the mayor say? EGLES?
That's the birds.
Something like that. And thank you to our listeners. We love you. I promise if the Eagles win, I won't be too obnoxious on Monday. Can't wait. Maggie and Perloff Show.